The strap.
It's time to begin the football weekend.
And as they say in Tinseltown, roll up.
This is a Football Friday edition of Dirt and Sprague.
They had pride, they had talent, they had hats and T-shirts.
Brought to you by the Odyssey app. Download the Odyssey app, follow 1080 The Fan, and enable push notifications to get the latest on the Ducks, Beavers, Blazers, and more.
Dirt and Sprague on 1080 The Fan.
All right, 6:02 in the Rose City. Time for Dirt and Sprague.
Monday. 59.
Here we go. I'm Portland sports leader, 1080 The Fan.
What is happening?
It was odd audio timing.
Did I beat you to it? Did I go too quick there?
I think you went a little too quick.
A little quick out of the trigger?
Yeah.
I'm not used to doing that. Usually Swigard's the one that fires these
Reno.
off. So I just timing. I just know. I'm like, oh, that's right. I got to play my This is the last football Friday of the year. This is the last one we got.
Start talking.
3 Dallas, ready?
Hey, what's happening?
Shut up about the sun.
Hey.
Oh, jeez.
I'm in the middle of I'm in the middle of a take right now. Would you stop playing dry? Hey, God, shut up over there.
Got him impossible to talk over all the drops.
It's the last one. I got a little excited. You know, I was a little premature there, if you will.
It is the last one. I know we have next Friday goes into the big game, but that's a different week for us. So on our station, this is the last one.
R.I.P. We will remember you, Football Friday.
Not if the Chiefs win.
And then we go to Basketball Fridays.
Yeah, Fast Break Fridays.
Fast Break Fridays. And then we go to
Flop Shot Fridays.
Flop Shot Fridays and Fastball Fridays.
Fastball Fridays. Yeah.
And then we're all depressed. And then please, for the love of God, come back. Football Fridays, and then it'll be back.
Our sales staff does really good job, and I commend them a lot. I do kind of wonder aloud on the show, and if any of them hear it, why don't we make Fast Break Friday or Flop Shot Friday?
Should be a thing.
Or Fastball Friday. Why don't we make that a thing?
Fridays on the show should always be sponsored.
Like, hey, it's July. There's nothing happening. Hey, you interested in doing a Fastball Friday?
Maybe we'll go throw some fastballs, get a radar gun out here in the studio, make it a whole thing.
I agree with you guys. It just doesn't roll off the tongue the same way, though. Fastball Friday.
Doesn't
Sounds like I'm an old guy, like advertising something at a retirement center or something. Come on down for Fastball Friday bingo. It just doesn't sound enticing. Sorry.
I don't think you could do those two things, fastball and bingo.
Yeah, I don't think there's anything
you
fast
can.
about bingo. Bingo's kind of a slow game. B32.
Baseball is not a fast game either.
It is
Sorry.
now with the pitch clock.
Hey, now we go quick, up tempo. Speak for yourself, Mariner fan. All right?
I got a lot more.
Your
to
games
bitch
go
about
pretty
besides
quick
that,
because they
so.
can't get any hits. Mariner games are over in like an hour and 42 minutes now, man. They're not scoring any runs.
I was reading the Silver stuff that we had talked about yesterday on shortening the game by 2 minutes each quarter. And his whole, we've done the studies, and it's right in that we want to be right at 2 hours and be out.
That's the time limit.
And I just thought in my head aloud, Adam, my God, the NFL exists. Those games are almost 4 hours.
They take forever.
It's not a time thing.
No.
It's habit. It's what you care the most about. It's not about the times.
No.
College football has 3.5 hour games. Yeah, come on. What are we talking about?
It was
here?
funny, too. There was a story that came out. And I had it in my notes in case we were fully empty and needed a little bit of filler. Did you see what the MLS and Apple TV are doing? Did you see this story the other day?
Trying to be more accessible.
So, yeah. I mean,
That's not gone well.
Their numbers have been so horrific that they're having to redesign the entire way around they package it and sell it to try and get more people interested in watching it or buying the rights to watch the MLS.
I followed it 2 years ago. They reached out and we had a little bit of a relationship, so I followed it.
We had some of the broadcasters on the show a few times.
But they didn't circle back with the free subscription, and I just didn't follow a lick of it last year.
I also think part of the reason we were having guys on and following it was because at the time 2 years ago, we thought there was the potential the Pac-12 was going to get a deal with Apple TV, and we wanted to know, how's this going to look? What's the quality like? Our football games could be on this channel. And again, highlighting how big of a disaster that would have been. Their subscription numbers are so bad that they're having to basically figure out a new way to pitch this thing. And that's a sport that has a compact time that you would imagine would fit into the younger sports audience view of it's not going on for 4 hours. You got two halves, and that's it. Ball game's over. See you tomorrow night.
You know, I want to give you a lot of credit today.
What do you got?
It's 6:04 a.m. For a lot of people, that is an ungodly hour.
It's very early.
And you morphing into this morning radio host thing, I've been impressed because I worked with you once upon a time from 7 to 10. And I'd be like, oh, you woke up at 1:30 today?
I mean, I don't need to be at work till 5. What the hell am I getting up before that for?
Oh, yeah, baby.
And so he has really kind of leaned into this for 4 or 5 years we've been doing it. I'm very happy. But sometimes he comes in and it's like, it's 6 a.m. I need to wake up a little bit. I'm shocked at the mood you're in based on what happened at the Moda and based what happened at Poly. What a weird.
It was a depressing night of basketball last night. It really was. I've had a lot of those recently. I feel like I gave up on. How far did I make it? Let's see. I made it until about 11 minutes to go in the second half with Oregon UCLA.
You could have quit at halftime.
I could have quit at halftime.
They had 26 points.
It was ugly, horrible, painful to watch. I was having no fun whatsoever. And I gave up with about 10, 11 minutes to go. I was like, this is stupid. Why am I still watching? They had a small flurry at the start of the second half. I was like, maybe that'll keep me around for a few minutes. And then just like that, they're back down by 15. And I'm like, nope, I'm not watching the end of this.
Yeah.
And I tried to stay up as late as I could for the Blazer game. And I think I made it till basically the end of the third quarter.
The Magic quit with 5 minutes
and
left.
It was like, all right, this game, they're up by double digits. They're going to win again. So I'll see you guys tomorrow morning. Let's go to bed.
Well, we'll get into the Blazer stuff at 7 today. I got Chauncey audio.
I think we should extend him. He's won 6 out of 7, playing at a high level.
Well, doesn't he have an option?
No, it's a team option.
Yeah, no,
team
option. Sorry, team option.
I
so
mean, he's
there is
coaching
an
like
option
this.
available,
Why would we
so-
not pick up the option?
yeah.
Guys winning games left and right now.
Red hot and rolling.
Red hot and rolling Portland Trailblazers.
We're going to talk about the Red Hot Blazers.
Got to break them up, man.
I will actually defend you at 7 o'clock on something. And it's really difficult. We had somebody tweet us last night. I just quote tweeted Scoot and Shay's numbers.
Yeah, they both had really good games.
From StatMuse. And somebody tweeted us, don't jump on the bandwagon now. Last year, y'all said Scoot was a bust. Bro is a baller. And I said, redirect your tweet to somebody else. We didn't say he was a bust. We did note he had a bad rookie year.
He did, yeah.
We wondered aloud, should they be worried? But we never said, define, stamp it, bust.
It's over.
Well,
Not you two.
you had the take before he was even
I'm
drafted.
a jackass, but still.
And also,
the take might end up being right. A
Well,
10-game
it's not.
sample size is not going to change the narrative the other way either.
It should. I also just added, don't be a bandwagon gatekeeper. It's kind of an odd flex.
Yeah, I'm not a huge
Every
fan of
fan
that.
is a bandwagon fan. Did you see the crowd last night?
Not good.
A lot of empty seats in that arena.
A lot of red velvet that was just popping out on my screen.
$1 tickets were available, I saw on
Were they
social
really?
media last night. I don't know what the
last minute?
Yeah, I don't know what the fees were after that. If it would have been $9, $10, or $11, but it was a $1 ticket.
The fees
in
are higher
section
than the ticket
317.
price.
Hell yes, they are.
What are the fees for? Where do the fees go when I'm paying fees on my ticket?
On a $1 ticket,
on a
especially.
$1 ticket, where's that fee going? Who's getting that fee? Are the Blazers getting that fee?
No,
Is
StubHub.
the StubHub's getting
Whoever
that
the hell
fee?
the- yeah.
Well, if you want to
Aggregators.
prove
prove to me that government can still operate, why don't we stop that?
I mean, that should be the first. Why was that not the first executive order?
I mean, that.
Let's get rid of the fees on tickets so that you don't
It's Trump time.
get screwed.
I thought there was something even before Trump came into office that just with the new year.
They were they'd had hearings and they were investigating everything.
No, but Congress had passed something to now where we still have to pay the fees, but they must be advertised up front. So you're not going and clicking
That's
in
still
and
horse
getting,
ass.
But
What
it's
are we
at
doing?
least the bait and switch is something that I could do without, and we all.
I mean, I've just got to the point where I expect the bait and switch now. Like if I rent a place, if I'm going through
Ditto.
VRBO, if I'm buying tickets to anything, I
don't go
I
through
look at the
VRBO.
price and I'm like, I know that this isn't going to be the final price. Let's get to that last step and then show me what the final price is, and then I'll decide if I want to rent this or not.
I think that's kind of the depressing part from our end is you see, say you want to go to the coast for a few days, whatever it is, and you have a party of 8. Let's get a good house.
Yeah, get a nice spot.
And you see a house, it sleeps 8, and it's advertised as
It's like $800 a night. You're like, all right, that's not bad. You
No.
split it 8 ways.
yeah, okay, so $400 or $500 even.
Sure.
Right? You have a great deal. It's not right on the beach, but it's a good house. And then you go to checkout and you calculate, and you're like, holy crap, this was not at all what that price said.
It's usually some $400 cleaning fee or something asinine like that.
And then they make you, by the time before you check out, I'm going to go ahead and need you to strip the beds. I'm going to need you to make sure the dishwasher's running. I'm going to need to make sure that you take the trash out. It's like, wait a minute, what am I paying that cleaning fee? They're going to come in and finish the laundry and then vacuum? That's all there is left to do.
I'll just go to a hotel, thank you.
I mean,
Yeah.
we've done that. I'd prefer to have a house or a really cool apartment in some ways because we have our dog sometimes. But
Especially for a bigger group, too.
dude, hotels. I mean, it's like going from cable to streaming back to cable. It's like you're just kind of. Now you're not giving me a deal anymore.
Yeah, this is not ending up being a good thing for me.
Yeah, so we stay at hotels all the time.
Yeah, it seems like the appropriate bounce back because I have that same thought of like I'm spending all this money to clean for a cleaning fee, but I'm doing 40% of the cleaning before I check out. I also love when they charge you. I mean, this is a whole rant thing I could go on. You would distract me from the depressing basketball.
How did we get from Scoot to this?
I love how you get charged when you rent a place full fee for a night, but the check-in isn't until 4:30 or 5 o'clock or 4 o'clock in the afternoon.
I think we've talked about that before. If check-in and check-outs are ridiculous,
insanity to me. So you're telling me I got to time my departure, like if it's at Sun River or if it's at the coast, that's a long drive from here. So I'm like timing my window of when I need to leave my house to get there on time. I get there. By the time I'm done, like just getting everything out of the car, getting everything into the house, you're deciding, what do I want for dinner at 6 o'clock? Your night's over. You eat dinner, maybe you go for a walk. You're like, all right, I'm tired. Let's start the trip tomorrow. And I'm spending $500 for that first night.
It's 17 hours. That's it. You don't get a full 24.
You don't get a full 24. How is there not a prorated rate for that first night? It doesn't make any sense.
Is there a way to give you a better time window, though? Because you do have to have it clean.
You got to have it clean. I'm saying give me a better price. If I can't check in until the day's essentially over, for me with this job, my days are over at like 6:30, 7 o'clock. By the time I'm past that in the evening, I'm done. I'm tapping out. I'm ready to go lay in bed. That's the end of my day.
I feel like you can ask for an early check-in nowadays with at least the bigger hotels. They'll have the space available to give it to you unless there's a convention or event or big concert or something.
Yeah, sometimes they're available 2 hours early and you're like, wait, why didn't
I not get that
Why do I
call?
have to call to find that?
And that's happened to me sometimes where I've checked in a hotel up in Seattle, like did not give us our room, 2 hours early, maybe even slightly less because, we're not ready yet. But then they handed me a key right at like the actual check-in time. And I'm like, you didn't have a room available before the Stop.
Yes.
Like, don't play me like that. And I went off on management. I was not happy that
Can I ask you that question?
I usually don't. I usually just save it for like a Yelp review, but I was like, no, get me the damn manager right now. Like, this is
my favorite one was we rented a house at the coast for my wife's birthday, and we were leaving Portland, about 2 hour drive or whatever to get over there. And as we're on our way, we got a call that was like, hey, your place is ready to check in now. And I'm like, you realize I'm driving 2 hours, right? So why would I plan on getting there 2 hours before my check-in time? Why wouldn't you let me know there's a chance that your place could be available earlier, then I'll leave Portland earlier, but I'm on my way now. That does no good for me.
Is there a wiggle room there, though, where they're like, they don't know it at the time?
Don't defend these people. They don't deserve defending.
You're not wrong.
The scum of the earth.
Corn Pop, you're a bad Yelp reviewer, huh?
Not.
You're a 1-star. This is why it was awful, because I don't want you to take this wrong. You love to give the take on the show, but I've also seen you in person, and you don't strike me as angry Corn Pop on the radio is not angry Corn Pop in real life.
No, it has to be something.
You strike me as like quietly like, oh, okay, thank you very much. And then you go to your room and you let it out.
Kind of, but it has to be like if it's something super egregious, I will say something or I will leave a review. It's probably happened. I mean, I'm 35. My wife and I have been together 15 years. I think we've left together like 8 or 9 angry reviews over this time. And then we've left a few positive ones too. Like just been like, hey, this business is awesome. Appreciated their help. But there were just, a handful of times along the way for both of us that we just felt like we got outrageously screwed or ignored just because we have either 20-year-olds to deal with or people are being stupid and not just being, commonsensical and being like, hey, here's a key to your room 2 hours early.
Hell no.
Yeah, hell no. Corn Pop is legend.
I'm in sports hell.
He is in sports hell. He's a Mariner fan.
Well, if I go to SEC country, that's what I'll call in as. Hey, Paul Feinbaum, my name's Corn Pop. I got something to say about Bama
you fit
football,
down
sir.
in SEC country as Corn Pop. That's a good nickname down there.
I forgot it was Friday today.
It is a Friday today.
My kids don't have school, and I went, how do you not have school on Thursday? Are you out on Friday? And my daughter was so confused, and I'm like, wait, today's Thursday.
Wait a minute.
How about that?
So they don't have school today?
That's a grading day.
Grading day.
The semester's over.
Didn't we just start?
They had a weird, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know.
Doesn't it end at the end of before Christmas and then start again? Isn't that how it works? Or am I thinking it's been a long time for me.
That sounds normal to me. What
That
you're
sounds
saying,
like this doesn't that compute in your head of the calendar and the way it works.
but not in any way what it
Like,
really
it's
is.
still January. We're already grading, so it's still
Tomorrow's gonna be February.
Tomorrow is February. We're almost there.
The love month.
Ooh, I'm ready to get my love on.
All right. Well, it is our final Football Friday. We will get to some football dealings. We'll get to the red hot and rolling Blazers at 7. I don't, talk about bad reviews. I don't know when we want to talk about Dirt's Duck basketball review because, geez. Does anybody know why Jackson Shellset shot twice?
No.
Was that weird to anybody else?
He's kind of the only guy we got that can reliably score the ball. And
It's
as
like
the
Biddle
first
and
half was
nobody
going
else.
on, like, can we, maybe take a shot there? They had a stretch for like 6 straight minutes of the first half where they just kept shooting threes over and over.
Bartholomew,
and
no.
over again.
Bartholomew,
Brick,
no.
brick. I'm like, dude, anything else? Anything inside the 3-point line? Maybe that'll work out.
Maybe Altman was right. Maybe he's not a good coach.
He's a bad coach. Bad coach. I hate Mick Cronin too.
Yeah,
I
definitely.
can't stand him.
Evil villain.
His little ass and his stupid suit, and I just want to punch that guy in the face.
So we'll get to a lot today. We'll Sprague the line at 8:30, which feels odd because it's the off week of football.
Yeah, are we counting these records? We didn't really talk about
I don't think
this.
we counted this last year.
I don't think we did either. But I also was out. I was on paternity leave, so I don't really remember what happened.
I didn't
that
count
stretch.
it.
Okay, was it no
I know I
countsies?
didn't count it because I remember you not being in. I'm like, this is stupid. Why are we counting this?
Yeah,
Does
this is
Pro
kind
Bowl
of
have a line?
Yes.
The
There's-
flag football game has a line.
There's a line for everything.
Damn right it
That's
does.
disgusting. Don't put it down.
I'm going to
if
bet
you're
Terry
play
Rozier
football,
under rebounds
please.
tonight. Is he in action?
Did he text you?
Yeah, he did.
Ooh.
He said he's not going to grab a lot of rebounds. Bet the under.
We'll get to that story today as well, but there's a lot to discuss. Let's get it going. Good to be with you. Our last Football Friday starts next on The Fan. Actually, just kidding. Dirt and Sprague hanging around here. Look, it's February tomorrow, so the year is already off to a red hot and quick start, and that's why we want to talk about our good friends at Trajan Wealth. Trajan Wealth is there to help you get a game plan for your retirement by calling Trajan Wealth today for your free consultation. A free consultation is fantastic. 503-207-600, or you can visit them at TrajanWealth.com.
The fiduciary advisors at Trajan Wealth understand no two retirement plans are the same. They offer guidance on a variety of financial objectives, including ways to earn higher potential earnings and tax concerns. Let Trajan Wealth help you develop a plan that will meet your financial goals today. Give them a call, 503-207-6000, or visit their website, Trajan Wealth, that's TRAJAN Wealth.com.
If you like peace of mind in your investment portfolio, Trajan Wealth is the company. How about starting with a second opinion? Call Trajan Wealth today. Again, 503-207-6000 to schedule a complimentary introductory meeting to learn more. That's TrajanWealth.com. Advisory services offered through Trajan Wealth, LLC, an SEC-registered investment advisor. Paid advertisement.
yeah, it's Friday.
This is a Football Friday edition of Dirt and Sprague
Brought to you by the Odyssey app.
on 1080 The Fan.
Feeling like moving
The
my
Trailblazers are red hot. We'll talk about them coming up at the top of the hour. I'm actually going to defend Dirt on something because people do jokingly love to have fun with Dirt on the Blazers stuff and what it's kind of been. But something's happened the last couple days, and I'm going to defend Dirt.
Ooh, look at you.
Well-
It's my teammate.
While also giving some love.
Oh, you want to give me some love?
Look at that. That's my guy. Speaking of Valentine's Day, a little menage a trois. Me, the Blazers, Dirt. So we'll talk about that. Get the Sprague Line sponsors in. Vancouver Ford text lines 503-864-6326. They treat you right before, during, and after the sale. You can visit them at vancouverford.com. Terry Rozier is in the sports news today. We'll get to that.
Yeah, not for good reasons. You don't want to be in the sports news for that.
Well, we ranted about something a little bit in the opening segment that you talk about not wanting to be in the headlines and corporations or entities feeling like they're kind of taking advantage of us financially. I don't know where you're at on this. I personally don't like this topic. I think I've made that abundantly clear. It's not like my favorite sports topic to dive into, but I do think it matters. And yesterday, after saying, nah, that ain't what we're going to do, a story came out on Sportico that Tony Petitti and the Big Ten is courting private equity investment now.
Yeah, I did see this.
After saying they wouldn't.
No, we're not going to do that. We don't need the money. We're fine.
A spokesperson for the Big Ten told Sportico, quote, to be better support its 18-member institutions, the conference is evaluating potential strategic partnerships in order to enhance the conference's event, sponsorship, and other ancillary business endeavors. And so they are currently looking at potentially teaming up with private equity.
The only thought that I had when I read this was, at what point is enough money from a TV deal enough money? If you tell me the Big 12 does this, if you tell me the new look Pac-12 does this, if you tell me the ACC does this, insert any other conference not named the Big 10 and the SEC, I don't really bat an eye at it. It actually kind of makes sense. They're trying to find a way to close the gap to the bigger schools. How are you going to do it? Well, it's not going to be through your TV contract, so we got to find alternative streams of revenue to come in. How much money are the traditional, and Oregon and Washington are not a part of this, which is ironic because Oregon went 13-0 and won the conference in year one. I'm glad we're getting a half of a share. What's the full share for the full-time members of the Big Ten? $60 to $70 million a year per school.
I thought it was almost 80, but
I think over the course of the contract, it's going to go up.
Yeah.
I mean, you signed $1 billion television deal, and you're telling me that you need more money than that in order to operate efficiently?
Well, I mean, we have a lot of examples in this country of companies that switched to private equity, and people noted that, like, oh, it got worse.
All of a sudden, you fired a bunch of people. Let's trim the fat around here.
I mean,
how many people are working at headquarters? Maybe trim some of those salaries and give the money back to the schools.
not that they'd be thriving necessarily, but how's Red Lobster been doing lately? You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
There's just a lot, and I saw a reaction to this, which was interesting, which was like football fans basically throw up emoji, and look, I'm not going to conclude that if they do this, people will not care or watch anymore because these are emotional ties. That's why that sport's so big. We either went to that school and our formidable years of our life were created there, or our family has been just legacy fans and we grew up going to games with grandpa and
or it's
dad,
in our area, in our backyard.
Yeah.
You can go to games.
Right.
Yeah.
There, it doesn't matter how it is. There is an emotional tie to the sport, which is why it's right now the second biggest sport in America. But there was a lot of reaction to this of like, cool, kill the sport I love. That's awesome. And some would already say you already have in some ways, but
sure.
This is I'm kind of with you of just like, what more do you need?
I don't like you had. There was a ruling from, I believe, the Department of Justice under the previous presidential administration, in which we didn't talk about this on the show, but we are on the brink of these schools paying athletes directly and them trying to get away from NIL. It's a big part of this House settlement that every school is going to have basically a pool of about $20 million to spend on their own athletes. The problem with the ruling that came down was that they basically said every school was planning on giving, if you take that $20 million, give or take 14 to 15 million are going to go to football, 3 to 4 are going to go to men's basketball, and everything else was going to get spliced up amongst the other sports. And that was the way that most schools were planning on handling this. They had ruled that if you don't evenly split this money between men and women's athletics, that it would be you would be guilty of a Title IX violation, and you could be facing potential lawsuit. And that threw everybody into a tizzy of like, wait a minute, we were planning on doing this one way, now we got to plan on another way. Now, many believe under the new administration that ruling is going to get ripped up and schools will go back to what they were previously planning on doing. Title IX be damned. I don't know how much of this has to do with that of like, do we have enough money at every single school? But I just kind of roll my eyes at that of you're making so much money in your television contract for football and basketball primarily. You should not be crying poor right now, and if you are, that's on you as bad with money.
Well, I mean, I think the NIL thing has already kind of revealed the ugliness of that sport. It's something that I like fundamentally disagree to my core and hate is that these schools make these TV contracts and then say, hey, Billy Bob, you got $30?
Can you donate to our collective and our fund?
It's like, yeah, I know your athletic department runs on more than just football. Well aware of that. But you make almost $100 million in a year. I don't. And so I just...
You don't make that kind of money?
It's breaking news.
Wow, I got the better contract there, man. I get $100 million every year. Yeah, it's good money.
I should have done the pregame show.
You should have. That's where all the money is. That's the cash cow around here, buddy.
Baby.
That's right.
But I will never. I could. Well, maybe if I became like a Jensen Wong rich, maybe.
Yeah, and you'd be like, whatever.
But even then, I just think to my core, I just fundamentally disagree with you footing me the bill and saying, well, our team's going to be good if you donate. Well, then I guess I'm not going to have a good team, am I, Bob?
It's like a rich Hollywood star asking for donations after a tragedy. Like, just give some of that, big old bank account you got yourself. It does.
I would argue
fall
it's
on deaf
worse,
ears.
Schulte. There's not a lot of Hollywood stars making $100 million a year.
Yeah.
That's fair.
And so, like, even that example's not even financially apt.
And that one, at least, there's a tragedy that takes place. So at least there's a causation that you're pointing to. This is, we just want more money.
We want to win 9 games next year. We only won 7.
We have the biggest TV contract. Well, I guess unless you're talking the SEC, but these two are separating themselves amongst everybody else.
Yeah.
We have the biggest television contracts, and it's not enough. We need more money around here.
It's funny because Petitti's much like a politician. Like last October, we're not doing that. We can do all we want to do in our own hands.
That's right.
And now report that they're shopping private equity for their conference. It's like, okay, great. Glad all it changed.
I don't know. Maybe this has to do with the law. Maybe there's more backstory to it, and it has to do with the lawsuit and the payouts and all that stuff that's going on with the House settlement that is still working its way through.
Is it going to ruin college football if they go this route?
No, I don't think anything will.
Really?
I don't at this point. I mean, if the NIL and transfer portal hasn't ruined it by now and the ratings are still through the roof and people are still following it religiously, I'm not saying every fan base is as plugged in as they've always been. You'll have some that drop off little bit by little bit. The report also came out yesterday, by the way, that the ACC's sticking together. The ESPN picked up their extension until 2036, and they're going to start revenue distribution that's unequal, which is what Florida State and Clemson wanted. And so it looks like that conference.
Notre Dame's going to be involved in more.
Notre Dame's going to be involved in bigger games in Miami, Florida State, and Clemson. And so they kind of looked around, and as sad as it is locally, some of the schools in the ACC agreed to unequal revenue distribution because of Oregon State. And they looked at what's happened. They looked at what happened to Oregon State and Washington State and said, if we don't make these guys happy and they file lawsuits and they, win the lawsuits and they get out of here, the hell does it mean for us? Where do we go? And so they said, sure, Clemson, you win the ACC, you won an extra $10 million. Take it out of our coffers. We're fine as long as we're still in the conference.
I know they came in and basically said, hey, we're willing to just do this ourselves. Just give us the brand logo next to our name. And it went about as well as it could for year one for SMU. A little surprised SMU didn't maybe pipe into that meeting of like, hey, did you see what we did year one in your conference?
That's a college football playoff appearance right there, bitch.
We got oil money, and we were one of the 2 teams to get in the playoff for your conference. Why don't we? I mean, I'm serious. Like, I know it's 1 year.
I want my school to do this to the Big Ten. I want my school to show up to Big Ten media days with double birds out saying, hey, where's the rest of my money? Indiana can't use them as an example.
No.
Minnesota, really?
Minnesota.
Michigan State, $80
Yeah.
million a
Purdue.
year. Number one team in the country, 13-0 for the majority of the season.
Yeah.
Only undefeated team left. You're welcome for all the
Wolf
eyeballs and the
national
attention.
champion?
They won another one too. I don't know the name off the top of my head, but we got 2 of them this
did see
offseason.
that, yeah.
Give us our money, Maryland. Where the hell are you taking that check home for?
Maryland.
Rutgers
Maryland's
is getting a
making
full
more.
share. Iowa, really? Those punts, you're getting a full share? The hell out of here.
Careful saying punts so aggressively.
You got to make sure you get the P in
Yeah,
there.
you really do.
You got to get the
Yeah, you
P.
Hey,
Punts.
we'll get to the Blazers at the top of the hour, but something about the Blazers popped out in sports yesterday. It's Blazer adjacent in some ways, and I'll tell you how next on The Fan.
This is a Football Friday edition of Dirt and Sprague.
Brought to you by the Odyssey app.
Now, from the Fan Sports Desk, a Sports Center update on 1080 The Fan.
First on The Fan, the Portland Trailblazers smacking the Orlando Magic at Moda Center last night. It was a runaway, 119-90 the final. Scoot Henderson and Shaden Sharp leading the way with 23 each. DeAndre Ayton dropping 22. Portland having today off before hosting Phoenix on Saturday, now winning 6 of its last 7 games. Can you believe that? On the college hardwood, the 16th-ranked Ducks getting beat up by UCLA down in SoCal, 78-52 the final. Eric Daly Jr. leading all scorers with 21. Nate Biddle had 13 for the Duckies. They are now 16-5 on this season. Loyola Marymount spanking the Portland Pilots 86-63, marks their 16th loss of the season. Also, Montana toppling Portland State 92-78. In baseball, after initially letting him become a free agent, the Seattle Mariners bringing back infielder Jorge Polanco on a 1-year contract worth almost $8 million in guarantees. Incentives could bring that total to $11 million. He's expected to play third base after hitting .213 with 16 whammies last season. And in the NFL, the Jacksonville Jaguars hiring Green Bay Packers linebackers coach and run game coordinator Anthony Campanile to be their next defensive coordinator under new head coach Liam Cohen. More sports scores and stories in 30 minutes. I'm Schulte at the 1080 The Fan Sports Desk. Listen live or on demand on the Odyssey app, the Fan's desktop player, or tell your smart speaker to play 1080 The Fan.
Slam Dunk in Vegas is our nationwide contest for a chance to have the ultimate tournament viewing experience with 3 of your friends. More info at 1080thefan.com. This is a Football Friday edition of Dirt and Sprague
Brought to you by the Odyssey app.
on 1080 The Fan.
All right, we'll
This magic moment,
we will be more professional
so different and
with
so
radio clock business.
I want to talk about Jorge Polanco going back to the M's. Catch the fever, man.
You want corn to pop this early, huh?
Stop it. And by the way,
$7.5 million.
yeah, actually 11 with incentives.
What are the incentives? Winning?
Did
You
he
won't
need-
hit him.
Right. Yeah, they had $15 million to spend this offseason, and Jorge Polanco's agent is going, hell yeah!
Yeah, buddy. There's
But-
your starting third baseman.
By the way, the texter that says I am more Karen than Corn Pop, no, I'm not.
Oh.
I just want to let everybody know that,
Can
like,
corn pop be the male Karen?
no, because I don't act like that when I just go out into the world. Like, that is my life with sports. That is, I reserve my attitude, like, all this anger,
Eight
sports-
business reviews is a mighty lot. I've never left one bad review.
See, over 15 years though,
Yeah,
is it
dude.
a lot? I've
you
also
ever
never
left a bad review?
left one. That's not me.
That's
but
a good poll
because-
question. Have you left a bad review
Yeah.
about a place that you visited?
It's just because people don't usually take the time. I
I'm too lazy. That's why I don't do
exactly.
it.
and
If
mean,
I don't
you
like
know
your
what? No.
service and I don't like your company, I'm just never going to go there
Like,
again.
they
I'd
need
rather do
something
that.
said.
Okay, but if you want to go see a movie, do you guys read the reviews or do you see a movie and you
No.
say, that draws my interest, I'm going to go see that movie?
I never look at reviews for anything. Restaurants, movies, TV
Okay.
shows. If the trailer or the menu or whatever sounds enticing to me, I will go see it. Or eat
Okay,
it.
so you're kind of proving what my philosophy is. If a place is great, like a restaurant makes a good meal and the service is great and it's nice, the vibes are good, I don't leave a lot of reviews like in general, but you find me on Yelp, I leave nothing but good reviews.
If you like a place, you'll give them 5 stars.
I will reach out from time. I've probably left 5 reviews my whole life.
Yeah.
They've all been positive. Now, if it's bad service, bad experience, you get what I do on the radio show. Don't go to Oklahoma City. It sucks.
Well, and
There's my review because word of mouth is more impactful for people
I tend to agree
than
with you.
reading online anger.
From somebody you trust, especially.
Oh, absolutely.
I agree
yes.
with that.
most people don't host a radio show, though, and traditionally, the percentage of people don't leave a review. They would just not come back.
But they'll
And-
tell their
and
friends.
that's who I am.
They will
Exactly.
tell their friends, I had a bad experience there, or
not
this
unless
happened."
asked.
Well,
Sometimes they will, but this is what, like, I just
word of mouth is bigger than
You're-
reviews.
I would agree in some instances, yes. But if you're like going to a new town and I don't know what the hell the scene is, it helps to look at the TripAdvisor or the Yelp reviews because you at least can get an idea of the vibe and the scene and always sort it by recency too. Because if you're looking at stuff from 2 years ago,
It
doesn't
could be
help
totally
you.
different.
Exactly.
Do you know you could rate our show on Apple Podcasts and Spotify?
Do it.
Go give us 5 stars.
But if you're not going to
Stars,
get a
please.
good review, just don't do it then.
We do have a couple of 1 stars on there, and I thought, who hurt you? Huh?
I
Who
know,
hurt you? What did we
seriously.
say that caused so much pain and
Well,
suffering?
people hear what they want to hear, and then if you don't say the thing they want to hear at the second they listen, you're awful and you're terrible at your job.
Yeah.
That's mainly why I don't talk about what I do for a living, like out in the wild.
This guy's an idiot, man.
What do you do? I'm in
God.
communications.
I communicate. I communicate to the people. The people communicate with the people. It's
The
whole
worst
thing.
is when they fall. Well, what is that? Ah, you know.
Don't worry about it.
Communications.
Plugging stuff in, connecting
Moving-
people,
moving messages along.
moving
I told
messages,
you.
man. I'm like an old telegram officer.
I told you I'd kill you. You don't want me to tell you.
Thanks, James.
Yeah, I don't feel like 8 and 15 years is that many reviews. I don't. I'm defending Schulte a little bit
But
here.
he's doing bad reviews.
He's doing bad reviews, and I get the desire to want to leave a bad review because I've had that. I'm just purely lazy, and so like the time, and it doesn't take that much time, but that any time is too much time for me. So but I'm to defend Schulte here. I think there's some people that do multiple, like a review everywhere they go, or do a
and
review
that's
every
just
month, or multiple a
exhausting.
year. But if you're telling me it's only 8 and 15 years, like I've probably had. Not probably. I definitely have had that many experiences in the last 15 years in which I could have left a really bad review. I'm just too lazy to do so. I don't think that's that high of a clip.
Yeah, well,
That's
there
like
was,
one every other year. That's not too shabby.
There was also a Denny's off the Damascus exit off 205 that I had an awful experience. Didn't leave a bad review. Guess what? Got shut down. Doesn't exist. Denny's. I win.
Is that the one
I
where
win.
you had the pizza? Yeah.
No.
No.
That was
No.
that was a different business that also
Oh, yeah, touche. That was a
folded
different
shop.
place. Yeah, they're no longer
a
open
different
either.
breakfast place.
Yeah, don't look out for the glass in your pie.
Yeah, see, the last review that I left was like over a year ago, and then the last one before that was like 5 years ago. So it's not like I'm like locking in.
Yeah.
It's just
I think I'm on Schulte's side on this one.
something egregious.
You don't leave
It's-
reviews. You're
it's
not on his
a
side.
good
I'm on
business.
Schulte's side on this.
And
Schulte's
it's-
in the right.
I'm not like trying to trash some great corporate entity if I have a bad experience at some place. Like I just read a bad hotel stay in Seattle where the elevator wasn't working and they couldn't check people out in a timely manner. Like getting your day moving, that's kind of what a hotel does. And we were talking about like the limited check-in and checkout times. Like if there's a bad experience, somebody needs to know.
You got to let the people know, Schulte.
Tell your friends.
Let the people know.
And never stay there again. That's
Oh,
how
we
you tell them.
We didn't. But
Poll questions up. Do you leave bad reviews of businesses online? Yes or no? You can vote at Dirt and Sprague.
Go rate our show, though. 5 stars, please.
You
5
please
stars.
do.
Go give us
And
5 stars.
you can get
and leave a nice
reaction-
comment, too. Leave a nice comment, 5 stars. Subscribe to the channel.
you
We
get
love
reactions on places like Yelp, and a lot of people have left like, hey, this review was helpful on my review. So
Enjoy-
it's like, all right, middle finger
All
to
right.
that biz.
I wanted to get back on
What
the
the hell's the
clock.
matter with you? Somebody said I went to a bar in Memphis, Tennessee a few years ago. I saw a review from a woman named Karen that read, "My cousin was murdered here, so I wouldn't recommend it, but you still left 2 stars."
2 stars. What? Wow. That's
I mean, the food was really good.
that
though.
must have been exceptional.
The
that food.
That food must have been delicious.
Their martini and
I mean,
those onion rings hit like I'd never seen before.
Phenomenal.
And the bullet also hit my cousin. 2 stars.
I mean, that's minus 3 stars. Definitely minus 3 stars, but I can't take them all away because the food was too good.
Yeah, but if I told you I murdered somebody and you didn't give me 1 star,
I'm going to leave you a bad review. If you start murdering people, I'm going to go 1 star your show.
but it means
You're
I
not
also,
getting 2 stars from
I
me.
did something right.
Yeah, that's true.
Maybe they kind of hated the cousin.
Was it not your fault, too? Like, was it I got a lot of follow-up questions there. I don't know.
All right, let's get to this scary Terry Rozier story and maybe a little bit more on this reviewing online of businesses conversation. Also, snow. Snow might be in our future.
Let's go, baby.
We'll get to that stuff all coming up next on The Fan.
It's the Vancouver Ford text line.
Plenty of time to talk sports today.
One number This is a Football Friday edition of Dirt and Sprague
Brought to you by the Odyssey app.
on 1080 The Fan.
Yeah, I mean, it is mixed reviews on reviews in general. And I think this is also kind of something I think about. One of our listeners on Twitter says, part of my monthly salary is about reviews. So if you leave a bad review, my paycheck gets impacted.
It's impacted by it. Well, did you do anything to deserve a bad review?
And can I ask
Or is it just the
specifically
general company, like just the company you're a part of, if they get any bad reviews? That's pretty tough.
And what industry is that? I'd be interested to know.
I don't know if that person wants to share
No,
that.
and
if
I
they
totally
do.
understand. I get it.
But if Dirt kicks off 7 o'clock hour and just pisses all over our parade right now in Blazerland,
am I going to get a bad review?
and his pay gets impacted by a bad review of that take, like I don't think Dirt's going to hold the position of giving bad reviews.
I think I might be a little more positive.
I have
if that was the case.
I have a friend that I won't say the industry or the friend, but they were traveling for work. And somebody at his company was like, hey, why don't you put our company magnet on your car to like advertise as you're going far away from where we are?
Free advertisement. Why would you not want to do that?
And basically everybody, including himself, was like, not a good idea. And the person was like, why? It's just free advertising.
Yeah, it's on the side of a car.
And it was basically, you don't want the phone calls that would be coming from my driving.
Ah.
And I went, that's really smart, but also getting ahead.
That's smart.
Of the bad review.
Yeah, this guy's a jackass, man.
Right, he knows
One
he's
star.
a jackass.
He's weaving in and out of lanes
Bobbing
here.
and weaving. You can't call 1-800
No.
My Driving Sucks because you don't know who he is or who he works for.
Every time I see one of those on the back of the car, I wonder how often do people call those numbers? And do the drivers care? Like, is there anything that actually happens there, or is that just for PR?
I do wonder
Of
that,
like,
too.
how's my driving? Call 1-800. I just want one of these days. I just want to like drive home and call that number and have a conversation with whoever is on the other line. Is there a person there answering the phone? Is it an answering machine? So many questions.
I actually tend to be the person that when I see one of those vans and there is on the bumper, how's my driving? I don't call because I don't want somebody to lose a job.
Right.
But I do in my car say out loud, how's my driving? You suck! And then I pass them.
Get out
of my way. I want nothing to do with you anymore. Speaking of bad reviews, the Charlotte Hornets have left nothing but bad reviews for their fan base.
Terry Rozier was leaving good reviews, though, for bookies.
Well, this is interesting.
Allegedly.
The federal investigation into former Raptor player Jonte Porter for taking dives and having unusual gambling activity.
Yes, he was banned.
It's now been connected to Terry Rozier as they're investigating when he was a Hornet, because in case you didn't know, and I don't think anybody did, he's a Miami Heat now.
I actually didn't know that.
Yeah, it happened last year. Terry Rozier, Scary Terry, as he's known.
Yes, from
in the
Boston.
league.
We all remember him in his days in Boston.
The Wall Street Journal reported that there's an investigation that when he was playing for the Hornets, there was unusual gambling activity connected to some of his props. Now, the NBA says they've looked into the matter, and they have not found any league rules being broken. So this is an active investigation. The U.S. Attorney's Office did not comment when asked about the story, and the Heat referred to the NBA statement when they were also asked about it. The involving game with Rozier in question was played March 23rd, 2023, a matchup between the Hornets and the Pelicans. Rozier played the first 9 minutes and 36 seconds of the game, and not only did he not return that night, citing a foot issue, but he did not play again that season. Charlotte had 8 games remaining and was not in playoff contention, so it did not seem particularly unusual that Rozier was shut down for the season's final games. He finished with 5 points, 4 boards, 2 assists at the opening period, a productive quarter, but well below his usual total output for a full game.
I feel like there's a pretty easy fix here.
The Hornets suck, and they were probably tanking.
I mean, yeah, that's part of it too. But
You're too good, Terry. Sit down.
The easy response to all of this, and if anybody has an issue with it, you have a problem. Okay, let's just get out in front of it and say you have a problem if you have an issue with this.
Okay.
Prop betting needs to go away. If we do not need to be able to gamble, how many rebounds is Terry Rozier going to have tonight?
Have you won prop bets?
I have. Touchdown scores, that kind of stuff, I'm all for it. But, like, hey, my over-under tonight is on 6.5 rebounds.
Yeah.
You go bet $1 million on the under. 8 minutes in, I'm going to have a foot injury. I'm only going to grab 4 rebounds, and I'm done for the rest of the night. And guess what's going to happen?
What about capping prop bet totals? Like,
Yeah,
the most you can bet is $30 on a prop bet.
Yeah.
Nobody's betting $1 million.
If you want to do that, sure. There's ways around this. But I don't think you're ever going to see some of the stuff that was feared that would happen of like a team tanking or a team taking a dive. Like, I don't think you're going to ever have like a Black Sox scandal on your hands again. What you're going to have is these individual players. Like, you can get through to an individual player. This is what Jonte Porter was. It was his prop bets that were hitting and all this activity was coming in on, and he has the direct influence over it. You can't gamble on or against the Raptors, and he's going to be able to dictate the entire outcome of that bet. But you know what he can dictate? How many shots am I going to make tonight? How many rebounds am I going to have tonight? How many points am I going to score tonight? He can dictate all of that. And so I don't know, man. If you're getting that into the weeds where you need to gamble Terry Rozier over rebounds, you probably have a problem to begin with. And that, to me, is the easy fix that eliminates a lot of this from players getting influenced by outside forces of saying, don't try tonight, we're going to win a bunch of money, sit down, and nothing will happen.
Well, I thought it was a good point by our good friend Gundy, who we just had on a couple days ago, where he basically was like, I wonder how the league's going to handle teams who are going to tank, especially after the deadline. Like the Blazers famously, I think in their last, I want to say it's 3 years. I hope I'm right on that. Text police if I'm wrong, let me know. Have won like 13 games post the deadline in 3 years.
Yeah, because they play a G League roster because they tank.
They're cratering. Yeah. However, our Blazers are red hot and rolling. They've won 6 of 7. And I thought he made a good point of the league may not be allowing teams to be so egregious with this, which...
Great timing for us here in Portland.
Well, yeah, they're winning. And we're going to start the second hour.
Thanks, Terry Rozier. You really helped us out on that one.
Scary Terry may have gotten us to our Scoot Shaden euphoria. Yeah? How about that? Hour 2, we kick it off. The Blazers are red hot. Chauncey's post-game thoughts after they pummel the Orlando Magic last night. And I'm going to defend Dirt on something. Hour 2, Dirt and Sprague on the Fan.
the Fan Sports Desk, a Sports Center update on 1080 The Fan.
This update is brought to you by 808 Hawaiian Restaurant. Add a little aloha to your super pigskin party with Kalua Pig, Terry Chicken, and Island Cocktails. Woodstock, Burnside, Beaverton are online at ate-oh-ate.com. First on The Fan, the Portland Trailblazers smacking the Orlando Magic at Moda Center last night. It was pretty bad. 119-90 the final, at least bad if you're a Magic fan. Scoot Henderson and Shaden Sharp leading the way with 23 each. DeAndre Ayton adding 22 points. Portland off after winning 6 of their last 7 before hosting the Phoenix Suns on Saturday. On the college hardwood, the 16th ranked Ducks getting beat up by UCLA down in SoCal. 78-52 the final. They're now 16-5 on the year. And Loyola Marymount spanking the Portland Pilots 86-63 the final there. And in baseball, after initially letting him become a free agent, the Seattle Mariners bringing back infielder Jorge Polanco. It's a 1-year deal worth almost $8 million guaranteed, could be $11 million with incentives. More sports scores and stories in 30 minutes. I'm Schulte at the 1080 The Fan Sports Desk. Listen live or on demand on the Odyssey app, the Fan's desktop player, or tell your smart speaker to play 1080 The Fan.
Did you score a smart speaker over the holidays? Just ask it to play 1080 The Fan. Dirt and Sprague on Football Friday on 1080 The Fan.
The autumn wind is a pirate, blustering in from sea. With a rollicking song, he sweeps along, swaggering boisterously.
This is a Football Friday edition of Dirt and Sprague.
Brought to you by the Odyssey app. Download the Odyssey app, follow 1080 The Fan, and enable push notifications to get the latest on the Ducks, Beavers, Blazers, and more.
Dirt and Sprague on 1080 The Fan.
All right, welcome back in the second hour of the radio program. It's a Football Friday, our last of the year, and we haven't talked football.
What the hell's the matter with you? Pro Bowl skills competition's going on. I want to break down throws, targets, catches.
Jared Goff looking good, baby.
It's coming up at 7:45 today. 7:45 to 8:30. Pro Bowl talk.
No one cares!
Well, actually, like 11 million people care, but that's a whole different conversation.
11 million?
Wasn't that the number we came up with yesterday? Didn't you look up the Pro Bowl ratings?
5.
Oh, 5. Okay, 5 million.
They lost most of their viewers last year. They still got 5 million.
5 million
great.
viewers is a lot of people.
How we can't wonder about possible fixing surrounding Pro Bowl games being allowed to be bet on, especially as flag football games. I guarantee you,
if you're a Pro Bowl player tanking in the Pro Bowl for gambling,
it's not
Are
about
there props on the Pro Bowl? Can you bet props?
It's not. I'm not saying that players are going to tank. I'm saying anybody associated with them knows how it's going, knows what kind of mood that person's in, and they'll be able to get the inside bet. Come on, like there's
you can gamble on
information
everything
out there.
I mean,
you
true.
just
You can gamble if Bernie Sanders is going to wear a thong
That's
at a
true.
confirmation hearing today.
Oh, you think he's in thongs?
Would you be shocked?
No.
I wouldn't.
No.
Very European of him.
Very
Wouldn't be
European.
surprised if every single one of those
Keep it
people
protective,
had, like,
a
a
little
freaky
breathable.
Social Democrats wear thongs.
Yeah.
They are comfortable.
The working class should wear thongs.
Easier to wash, takes less water, better for the environment. Checking boxes left and right.
True.
Well, somebody texted in Jonte Porter's an idiot. If you're going to intentionally shave your props, just don't hustle for rebounds.
Well, he was texting these
take
people,
bad
too.
shots, force the coach to
He's an
pull you.
idiot, yeah.
I mean, there's that, but also it's not the bad play that is the red flag. It's the activity on a random prop that is the alarm. If all of a sudden you get $1 million bet on Terry Rozier under 6.5 rebounds, that's random and out of left field, and that's going to cause everybody to go, wait a minute, why is somebody betting that much money on this random prop? That's the alarm that gets raised.
See, that's the crazy thing. You keep going to $1 million.
It's not even that.
It's
I know.
like
I'm just using an
50
example.
G's,
Sure.
20 G's. It's like
anything
this doesn't make
outside of
sense.
like, hey, I'm going to put $5 on Terry Rozier's over of rebounds
Should be a
is
red flag.
raising a red flag of like, why is somebody gambling that much money on
I
this
agree.
prop?
I think the Jonte Porter bet was like an $80,000
It wasn't
three-way
very high,
parlay
yeah.
for $1 million payout, which nobody bets $80,000 on a three-way player parlay, no matter if it's LeBron.
We'll go to New Orleans randomly for our ticker stop today. Fletcher Mackel, a good guest. We've had him on before. He does TV down there. The Saints don't have a head coach, and nobody seems to want that job. That's wild. It's an NFL job.
I'd take it. I'll be the head coach of the Saints.
I would too.
I'd take that job.
And Zion speaking out against the Pelicans yesterday. I don't know how many people heard or saw this.
They won't let him play back-to-backs. Not my call. I just work here. Oh, that's a good line.
That relationship seems frosty. So we'll talk with Fletcher Mackel coming up here at the bottom of the hour. We must start the 7 o'clock hour with our red hot and rolling Portland Trailblazers. They beat the Orlando Magic last night in easy fashion. They started out 8-0. They were down. And after that, it just didn't go Orlando's way. They beat the Magic last night. Get this, 119-90. And if you're curious how the box score was because you didn't watch or catch the game, Scoot played 32 minutes, 23 points, 7 assists, 5 boards. Shea off the bench had 23 points. He was a plus 26 in his minutes. Scoot was a plus 27. Ant played 21 minutes, was a minus 2. And Toumani Camara had multiple just body-bagging defensive plays against
his
Paolo
block
Banchero.
on Banchero was
Which
at the
one?
rim. I mean, sure, the one where it's elevated, I'm going to dunk on you, and he meets him at the top, and just insanity what that guy can do.
I want to actually start, because we'll talk about the Blazers being good and what this is going to mean for them. The deadline is in 7 days, and it doesn't appear that there's a lot going to be available. So we'll talk about this, but I want to quickly start the second hour. The Blazers have won 6 of 7.
They have.
We have Chauncey audio to get to. I want to defend Dirt for a second.
Oh.
For anybody listening out there.
Hello.
I caught wind about a day or two ago that there's a little bit internally of what are you guys talking about over there in the morning? Because they've caught Dirt being angry, pissy Dirt.
One center court's not very happy with me right now.
Some at one center court may not be happy. Now, our job is not to appease them and make them care about being happy. We, like a lot of people over there, we've been complimentary, but like our job asks us to do, we've also wondered aloud, what's happening with this?
What's the overall plan here?
And I've certainly voiced some criticism. I have not, and I don't think everything they've decided to do post this rebuild has been perfect or the right decision. That's just my opinion. But where I will defend my co-host is last night is grade A example of what his point has been. Dirt is not, look, Dirt wants to lose because he wants as many ping pong balls for Cooper Flag.
Overall,
Right now, the top 3 teams have double the balls that the Blazers have as we currently sit. They're 5.5 out of the play-in. We can fundamentally disagree on, is it better to keep winning for your culture and just, if you don't make the play-in, maybe you get lucky versus should you be the Wizards? I totally get that. Okay, that's a separate conversation. Dirt's anger is more sitting in, if you're going to win with Toumani and Shaden and Scoot, maybe the Klinger, though bad game for Klinger.
Yeah, only 8 minutes.
Okay, the young guys that we want to build around, Denny now. All right, they won that game. Where Dirt's anger is not in the just winning, it's the, how'd you win? With Jeremy, DeAndre, and Ant, who are clearly not necessarily on that timeline.
Yes.
Leading the way with Scoot and Shade barely playing. And I think if you cannot parse out the difference between those opinions, there it is, cut and dry for you. The young guys win you the game and they look good. I don't know if Dirt really is bothered. But when you do it with the vets and you bench the draft picks, that's where I think, as a co-host, I'm interpreting your anger. Am I having the right read there? Okay, I am.
I think you nailed it, baby. I think you nailed it.
I'm all gravy, baby.
And I said that
without sit over here. I'm not even going to get angry today.
Having even talked to him before the show today, that was my read because
Summed it all up.
I heard this the other day, and sometimes teams get wind of loudness and say, "What's going on?" And my immediate response is, well, I don't work for you, so you don't pay
what's
my
going
check.
on is what's going on our show. You mind your damn business, but thanks for listening.
Well, it's okay to disagree with our takes. Plenty of people do.
Yeah.
It's you need to interpret it right and not catch 2 minutes of a segment to really understand. And that's the difference is how they win last night, I would guess you liked.
No problem with it at all. It was predominantly led by the 2 top 10 picks over the last 3 years who you should be building the team around this year. But for some reason, over the last handful of weeks, they're both coming off the bench. It took Jeremy Grant getting hurt. What did he roll his ankle the other night against Milwaukee, whatever it was. It took Jeremy Grant getting hurt to get Scoot back in the starting lineup. How'd Scoot look in the starting lineup last night?
Damn good.
I would
Pretty
say
good game, huh?
Tamani's defense was stellar, and we'll get to Tamani and some audio. Scoot was their best player last night.
He got off to a little bit of a slow start offensively, woke up. He did a little bit of everything. He was good defensively, had a couple of turnovers. That's fine. He's young. It's going to happen. Was grabbing rebounds, was setting up guys offensively. He scored the ball himself. He got to the free throw line.
He was a real point guard.
That was really fun to watch last night. Did we enjoy that?
Really good threes. I mean, couple
Dude,
of guys in his face.
What is the number? Let me pull this up.
It's Habistro.
Habistro had a stat yesterday.
Go find his Twitter
about walking into
threes.
How do you spell Tom Habistro?
Did he get off Twitter though?
No, I saw the tweet last night. I just don't know how to spell his last name. But it was essentially when he walks into a three, and he's shooting like 50% in the month of January. That's number one in the NBA.
Okay, I got it right here.
By a wide margin. Thank you.
Here is Tom Habistro, our analytics guru on the Blazer broadcast. By the way, he does that in Charlotte, as where he lives.
He does, yeah.
So every game that starts at 7 is 10 o'clock his time.
That guy's up late. We're not going to get him on the show very often.
This is the Habistro stat from the Blazer broadcast. Top pull-up three field goal percentage in January with a minimum of 30 attempts.
Yes.
Number 5, Zach LaVine. Number 4, Anthony Edwards. Number 3, Duncan Robinson. Number 2, Klay Thompson at 48.4%. Number 1, Scoot Henderson, 51.5% on pull-up 3-point field goal percentage.
Yes, look, I am anti-win, and I will continue to be anti-win. I still think in the long term it is better for you to lose as many games as humanly possible to give yourself the best chance to go land the star that could potentially turn this thing and get you back into the level of contention that we would love to see. Where you're not going to get me yelling and screaming and my heart rate monitor going crazy is when the game is won by Scoot, Shaden, and Kamara's defense.
Yeah.
That's fine. I'm okay with that. And if you had been racking up 19 wins, what do they got, 19 on the year now, 19 and 29?
Yes.
If you had racked up 19 wins with that predominantly being the reason you had done it, I wouldn't be having this negative stance. I wouldn't be screaming and yelling on the radio. This is just coming from a place of somebody who argued the second they drafted Scoot, Anthony Simon should have been traded. You should have cleared the pathway for him to play. You want to keep Brogdon for a year. You want to bring in some other vet to help grow him. That's fine. You should have cleared the runway for him. And I maintain the same thing when you draft other guys of just having log jams in front. Jeremy Grant should have been dealt this summer to open up spots. You should have gotten a first-round pick for him. They've made little mistakes that have kept them from having nights and moments like this. And I have argued all season long, this is what the majority of Blazer fans in my mind want. They want to see Scoot. They want to see Shaden. They want to see more Donovan Kling, and only played 8 minutes last night.
He was pretty bad.
He wasn't great. That's fine. He's going to have his lumps as a rookie. You got to grow through that and not just say, hey, 8 minutes, go sit your ass back on the bench. We'll play dominating for 35. I got no gripes from last night. I just wish we would see it more often. Jeremy Grant's going to come back, and what's going to happen to Scoot? Scoot was just the star of the night. What's going to happen to him when Jeremy Grant's back in the lineup?
Probably less shots available for him.
Less shots available for him, less minutes available for him. He's going to go back to the bench with Shaden Sharp.
We don't know that yet.
That's going to happen. We know that's going to happen.
We have audio from Chauncey Billups on Scoot, on Shaden. There's something about Shaden that he brought up, and I've noticed this, and he actually cited a game that happened this year where it stuck out to me, and I was glad he brought it up in the postgame. The idea of winning for your young culture, we can talk about that a little bit, and just also we may need to prepare ourselves a week from now to almost nothing happening. So we'll get to that coming up next. Some Chauncey Billups audio. What have you made of the Blazers in this 6 of the last 7 run? You know, on social media, it feels like there's a real buildup that people are excited they may get to the play-in. They're still 5.5 out, 6 from getting the spot. But what have you made of Scoot, of Shea, of Tamani Kamara, and the way they played last night if you saw the game? You can send those thoughts into the Vancouver Ford text line at 503-864-6326. They treat you right before, during, and after the sale. Visit them at vancouverford.com. Chauncey Billups' reaction post-game next on The Fan.
The Herd with Colin Cowherd. This is a Football Friday edition of Dirt and Sprague
Brought to you by the Odyssey app.
on 1080 The Fan.
We will get to New Orleans. Why don't the Saints get a coach? And is Zion, is he going to be out of New Orleans soon? Is that relationship over? Fletcher Mack will join us coming up at the bottom of the hour.
Talk about untradeable assets. I'm not quite sure what the market is for him right now.
Well, I want to get to this Chauncey audio, but I think that's the other takeaway last night, right? Is that, like, D.A. played a lot. Jeremy did not play. He was out of that game. But Ant only played 21 minutes. He was 3 of 9. Anthony Simons has not had a good year. There is no argument that he's had a good year. And while I hope that eventually he can find the spot where he can flourish, that team they played yesterday
could still use him.
Sure seems like they could use an Anthony Simons in scoring.
Yeah, I've only seen Orlando play twice, and both times I've seen him play. Not very impressive what the Magic are bringing to the table.
I'm not a big plus-minus guy. There were only 2 minuses that played last night. Yeah. Donovan Clingan, who had one of his worst games of his rookie season, and Anthony Simons. Everybody else was a plus 15, a plus 20, a plus 30.
They won the game by 30 points, man, and he was a minus on the night in 21 minutes.
That's eye-popping.
I'm not sorry. Good.
That's eye-popping. And so, I do think a week from today, we need to be mentally ready for there not to be a lot of movement.
No.
And with this Rozier thing, as Gundy pointed out, I don't know how much you can really tank in the way that you did last year or the year before. And so 5.5 out of the play-in, double the odds. They have double the odds than the top 3 teams now in the flag sweepstakes. Maybe they'll get lucky with the bounce of a ping pong. Stats don't suggest that's going to happen.
No.
There's a chance, man, this isn't going to cool. I think they're going to split their Phoenix games if they don't win both of them because Phoenix is a disaster. Go look at this schedule. You kind of play the schedule game with the way they're playing right now.
Are they going to hit the over on their season win total before the All-Star break?
Oh, God.
It's very possible.
Their over-under was 21.5. They're 3 wins away.
They could beat Phoenix twice, though we'll see. Indiana, Sacramento. It's not inconceivable with this Blazer team. They win 4 more games in a row. So I just mentally... I don't know where everybody's at. We'll play the Chauncey audio, but just prepare that this possibility, this roster doesn't change a whole lot, and you keep just getting what the kids are giving you.
Yeah, the unfortunate part for me as a fan, and I know some people agree with me, some people are probably tired of hearing my voice talk about this team, but the unfortunate part for me last night was nights like that should be a moment where it's celebrated and appreciated and like, man, that's awesome, dude. Your backcourt, that was the number 3 and number 7 over, what, Shaden 7?
7.
3 and 7 overall pick combined for 46 points. They were incredibly efficient. They played awesome. The downside for me is that you didn't lay the foundation in order for me to be able to enjoy nights like that because you won too many games at the start of the year. If that was win number 11 on the season, dude, I would have been jumping for joy in my living room watching that last night.
You want the best of both worlds.
But instead, it's win number 19, and you're damn near going to hit your over. And I keep hearing people say they're going to stop winning, or this will come to an end, or all of a sudden the tanking will happen. The Terry Rozier stuff is really scary for the NBA.
It's interesting,
and they're not going to just go all willy nilly and say, yeah, whatever, shut everybody down, fake your injuries like you have the last couple of years. I think they're going to watch that closely. And almost everybody around the league that we have talked to, some we've had on the show, some we've read things about, or read things that they've written, this is not going to be some robust trade market, man. We'll see Jimmy Butler, maybe De'Aaron Fox. There's not a big market for Jeremy Grant right now. There's not a market for Anthony Simons right now, and there sure as hell ain't one for DeAndre Ayton right now. So that's my biggest ultimate fear factor of, at least in years past, I knew at some point they were going to start faking injuries and shutting everybody down, and we were going to get, like, Scoot. Go look at Scoot's minutes in the second half of the year last year.
Yeah, they go up way
more. He was playing 35, 36 minutes a night. Now, the tough part is you're playing against other G League teams who are also tanking at that point, so it's hard to get a fair assessment on where his game ultimately is at. I don't even know if you're going to be able to do that this year, which would be a disaster for them.
Shaden had a good game last night off of the bench, and we've noted this on the show, and many have talked about it. Like, Shaden has moments where it looks like, is he awake? But he also has good games from time to time. One thing that stuck out to me when they played the Rockets a few weeks back, they got into a mini brouhaha with Dylan Brooks, and Shea was kind of at the center of that.
Everybody gets into brouhahas with Brooks.
He kind of got into one yesterday with Goga of the Magic, and after that point, he kind of looked like a different player. And part of what made Kobe great was playing a little pissed off. Just saying. You want to get that baby Kobe thing back.
Back to baby Kobe now, huh?
Here's Chauncey Billups talking about having a mad Shaden Sharp.
But I want somebody to get into it with Shaden every game. You know, we need it, he needs it. Every time he gets upset out there, it's happened another time. I think it was Dylan Brooks at one time this year. Every time it happens, it takes him to another level, you know. So I love a mad Shaden. You know, we're best like that.
When he has good games, are we going to start calling him Mad Shaden?
Mad Shaden. Shaden was mad tonight.
Mad good.
He was happy tonight. Oh, he only had 4 points. What happened there? He's in too good of a mood.
I'd kind of just say, Chance, I don't know if you're going to be back. I wouldn't be stunned at this point if this organization gave you a 3-year extension.
I think we should.
Maybe just every game, push him. Just shove him into a locker before
Tell him
the
he
game.
Sucks. Tell him you're a bum. I'm not even gonna play you tonight. You're so bad.
I'm gonna steal your girl. Like, do whatever you need to do to piss him off. Here was Chauncey on Scoot Henderson's game last night.
But I thought Scoot was excellent the entire night. I thought he picked his spots very well. I talked about it before in the pregame presser. Just needing his intention to get to that basket was going to be huge against such an elite defensive team. And I just thought he picked his spots great, you know. He knocked down his shots, but his playmaking was good. His defense was good. He was scrappy out there. He was good. It was just a great floor game the entire way through for Scoot.
It was a great floor game for him. He looked like a real point guard leading a team.
He's been on a nice run for the last month. Not every game's been perfect. He's been playing much better basketball over the last month to 6 weeks, and
which goes with the minutes.
And it's a hill I'm going to keep dying on, man. If you're going to play at that level and you're second year in the league, and let's keep you in the starting lineup. Let's see what you got. This is far more valuable long-term for you as an organization to continue to get everything you can out of him and see what potentially is there. Not to mention the fact of, like, can we give him minutes in the fourth quarter in a tie game down by 2?
Closing.
How about we give him a possession and see how he handles it? Maybe it goes bad, but guess what? Maybe he can learn from that because he's only 20 years old or 19 years old or however old he is. Like, give him those opportunities to learn and grow because that's what you need to do long term, and he's not going to learn sitting on the bench.
One of our listeners just interrupted your take right there. I just checked our social media page, and one of our listeners, Martin, sent a graphic of Nancy Pelosi on the phone. Terry Rozier under 3s.
Yes. It's fixed. Let's go. Follow what Nancy does.
Tamani Kamara was great defensively last night.
He was.
I wanted to do this yesterday, and then I just chose to talk about the awful plane accident and then ended it with, hey, how about Tamani Kamara, though?
You did, yeah.
Very weird and awkward. I felt uncomfortable about that on a dog walk yesterday afternoon. But Tamani was great again. 2 massive blocks against Paolo Banchero. And again, his offensive production isn't necessarily, it's just defensively he puts these teams just in hell. And he did it last night. I don't think the Orlando Magic want to play Tamani Kamara again the rest of the year.
No, they were avoiding him at all costs.
Here was Chauncey in the postgame being asked about, like, just how much better or how much growth can Tamani Kamara have?
I think that he can keep climbing. I mean, he's still new to this. And, you know, I kept moving him around today in the game, especially having no Jeremy. I put him on Paolo and Franz, and Franz started going. I put him in pressure. You know, I put him everywhere. Went small, put him. You know, I just put him everywhere. His ceiling, we don't know what it could be. You know, defensively, he wants to be the best in the world. He really does. You know, he took 2 charges in the first half, didn't get either one of them. You know, and I'm on these reps all the time saying he's the best in the league. Like, how? Because he's the best. He really is. I mean, he leads the league at it. So, yeah, we don't know what his level, you know, could stop at, but we won't know because he's going to continue. He will continue to get better and better and better.
It's a tough one for Phoenix to think they had to throw that in to get rid of DeAndre Ayton to Tamani Kamara.
It was so funny, too, to think back to the reaction of that trade. I don't even really remember his name getting mentioned in the trade. It was like, oh, yeah, and so-and-so, who is a rookie out of Dayton, and nobody made a big deal out of it.
Excuse me. We need to check tape. I actually was on a Jack Ramsey saying I'm really excited that they got
excited
Tamani
about
Kamara.
this guy? You excited watching him at Dayton?
By the way, Dayton from Georgia, actually finished at Georgia, and he came from Dayton.
Okay.
I had seen some summer league stuff and read some pieces about his length and disruption.
Yeah, you were all in.
I was. There's literally a podcast where I'm like, dude, they got Tamani. This was a good pickup. I like this Kamara kid.
I'd never heard of him before.
Now, did I see this coming? Absolutely not. I'd be a liar to say that. But, man, he has just been so much better than anybody could have anticipated. Yes. I would even add the organization.
DeAndre Ayton was the throw-in of that trade, not Kamara.
Well, yeah.
I mean, you had to make salaries match and that whole thing, and it's got to fit, but
that's crazy to say, right? With the contract that Ayton ended up being the throw-in of that trade.
He's the guy that right now, if you could get rid of him, they would do it in a heartbeat.
Yeah, you choose Tamani all day.
They can't trade him because nobody wants that contract.
So he on the year is shooting from three 34.3%. He's 44 from the field. He's a 74.1 free throw percentage guy. He's averaging 8.5 points, about 5 boards. We know what he is defensively. I'm curious how much growth he can make offensively.
I mean, that's the biggest question of his career. But I think the encouraging thing, at least as of right now, is that there will always be a spot for you when you're that elite defensively.
His last 10, 11, and 6 on 36.4 from 3 and 48 from the field.
Yeah, if he continues to grow and get more confident on that end of the floor. The hard part with Portland over the last 10 or so years is that it feels like whenever they've had somebody who's been that level defensively, and they probably haven't had somebody quite to this level, but anybody who's good defensively, they've been a liability on the other end of the floor. Like, think back to Al-Farouq Aminu, who I know had one year where he shot the ball well, but every time he dribbled, what did we all yell at our television? Pass the ball, please don't shoot. He had the ugliest shot in mankind history. Mm-hmm. And that it just felt like you were a liability where you had to, nobody paid any attention to him. You leave him wide open, you get into a playoff series, and it just you play 5-on-4 because you don't have to guard him. That is the biggest strength, I think, going for Kamara right now, is that he's developing to the point where defenses can't play them that way. It'll be interesting as time goes forward and you do eventually get into a playoff series, how much can he actually make you hurt? But if you could continue to surround him with offensive weapons and he's a fourth option on that end of the floor, but your number one defensive guy, dude, the sky's the limit for how good he could be. He's arguably the best defender they've had in the last 20 years.
They are now in a tank/play-in off with the Bulls, Sixers, and Spurs. They are about 5.5 back of the Spurs for the last play-in. And I went through their schedule, and I did play the corny radio host game of win-loss, win-loss,
that's
win-loss.
A win, that's a loss.
I had him at 28. Of just trying to project bad team, gonna tank worse than you, and then also the end of the year, you need to remember playoff positioning is sealed for some teams.
Yeah, and they just stop
won't
trying.
We'll sit, get that extra week off. I think they're gonna win 28. I think it's in that 26-30 range, dude. I really do. I actually don't think they're gonna make the play-in as hot as they are because they got some tough games ahead.
That would be such a disaster if they made the play-in this year.
Well, would it? If Scoot and Shea and Tumani just keep playing like this,
sure. Is that going to be the reason they make the play-in? When Jeremy Grant comes back, what's going to happen?
I mean, I don't know.
You know what's going to happen. Don't say I don't know. You know what's going to happen. He's going to be in the starting lineup, and Scoot's going to go back to the bench, and we're going to get the vet team for the second half of the year.
Could be with the 13th worst odds, the 13th worst record in the league.
Some people would also say that's also a disaster.
Something special. Look at all these wins piling up.
But
6 out of 7, baby.
Well, actually, the playing teams that lose, they get thrown into the lottery.
You do. You are back into the lottery. If you lose, you're playing.
So then what if we made the 10 seed and we lose, and then we get the number 1 pick?
That's exactly how you want to build this thing out, baby.
Hope in one hand, spit in the other. Tell me which one fills up first, you jackasses.
That was really graphic.
Why?
We'll spray the line at 8:30.
It's a great way of saying hope doesn't mean anything.
Hope is everything. Hope is all we have. We'll spray the line an hour from now. Hopefully no spit in our hands. But let's go to New Orleans. Why does anybody want to work for the Saints? And how much longer is this Zion-Pelican relationship going to happen? Fletcher Mack will join us for the Daily Ticker next on The Fan.
This is a Football Friday edition of Dirt and Sprague.
Brought to you by the Odyssey app.
Now, from the Fan Sports Desk, a Sports Center update on 1080 The Fan.
First on The Fan, a big win for the Portland Trailblazers at Moda last night, beating the Orlando Magic in a runaway 119-90 the final. Scoot Henderson and Shaden Sharp leading the way. They had 23 points each. DeAndre Ayton also had 22. They're on an off day before hosting the Phoenix Suns on Saturday. Portland now winning 6 of their last 7 games. On the college hardwood, the 16th-ranked Oregon Ducks getting beat up by UCLA, 78-52 the final. Eric Daly Jr. leading all scorers there with 21. Also, Loyola Marymount spanking the Portland Pilots 86-63, and Montana toppling Portland State 92-78. In baseball, after initially letting him become a free agent, the Seattle Mariners bringing back infielder Jorge Polanco on a 1-year deal. It's worth almost $8 million guaranteed, could reach about 11 with incentives. He's expected to play third base after hitting .213 with 16 home runs last season. And in the NFL, the Jaguars hiring Green Bay Packers linebackers coach and run game coordinator Anthony Campanelli to be their next defensive coordinator under new head coach Liam Cohen. More sports scores and stories in 30 minutes. I'm Schulte at the 1080 The Fan Sports Desk. Listen live or on demand on the Odyssey app, the Fan's desktop player, or tell your smart speaker to play 1080 The Fan.
The inside story on the Blazers, Ducks, and Beavers. independently brewing since 1996. Pelican Brewing, born at the beach.
All right, Daily Ticker Time on a Friday, brought to you, as always, by our good friends at Pelican Brewing. 4 locations along the Oregon coast. Fly over to a Pelican location. Enjoy epic views, local brews all year long. Pelican Brewing looks forward to seeing you at the coast. There are a lot of NFL head coaching vacancies that have been filled. In fact, all of them, except for one. There's only one job left in the NFL market. Nobody seems to want it. We're going to go there now. Fletcher Mackel, our guest from New Orleans, WDSU down there in New Orleans. One of our favorites, at Fletcher WDSU on Twitter. Go give him a follow. Fletcher, good morning to you. Why does nobody want to take the New Orleans Saints job?
So let me say this. I am not a homer. I'm not trying to defend the organization. I do think that narrative may be a little extreme. It's not that no one wants to take it. Kellen Moore is going to be the next head coach. They can't announce it because he's obviously the offensive coordinator for the Philadelphia Eagles, and he's in Super Bowl 59. And the Saints, who have been in trouble with the league before, of the bounty scandal, they've been off the reservation, so to say. Yeah. Look, 2 years ago, when Jonathan Gannon got hired by the Arizona Cardinals, they docked a draft pick for Arizona, and they fined them for tampering with a team that was in the Super Bowl. I will say this, though. The Saints lost out on their perceived top candidates for the job, but I do think, and I was told by sources, that Kellen Moore was always in their top 3. Aaron Glenn is a guy that obviously is the coach of the New York Jets now. He played in New Orleans. He coached on Sean Payton's staff for 5 years. He was the guy that almost got the job 3 years ago instead of Dennis Allen. He was their top guy. And then their next 2 were Joe Brady, the offensive coordinator of the Buffalo Bills, who also coached with the Saints and with LSU down here, and then Kellen Moore. So Aaron Glenn leaving, I kind of understand. He was a hot name. He had options. Brady was the one that was a real gut punch because he coached at LSU on their national championship team with Joe Burrow. He was on Sean Payton's staff. Just to pull out and say, I'm going to be a coordinator with Josh Allen over pursuing your head coaching gig, that was a real gut punch. But Kellen Moore was always in their top 3. The rest of the people pulling out, I think it's simply because they know they were no longer real strong finalists for it. But it's not the greatest job right now. Look, you have a mid quarterback who's woefully mediocre in Derek Carr, whose ceiling is probably sneak into the playoffs. You have an aging roster. You have a horrible cap situation. It's not the best job. But look, a year ago at this time, the Commanders were an absolute rebuild that looked like a disaster, and they're in the NFC Championship game. I've been here 22 years at WDSU. After Hurricane Katrina, this organization was at rock bottom, and they signed a quarterback that couldn't pick up a football and throw, and they were mocked relentlessly, and it ended up turning out to be great. So I don't want to sound like the eternal optimist, but maybe Kellen Moore can be the answer for them, but it's not the greatest job out there right now.
Go Tiger. I'm curious real quick because we want to ask you some Zion stuff. We got a clip we want to play about Zion at a shoot around, but how patient is the organization going to be? There is some stuff out there about the ownership being a little messy or hard to gauge how much they should be trusted, I guess, as an organization. And maybe they did get their top 3 candidate in Kellen Moore, and they'll eventually announce that hire. But, like, the cap situation, the quarterback situation, I don't know if Kellen Moore is going to be a great head coach, but I would also say, is Kellen Moore going to get an actual clear runway to slowly build and not be expected to be the Commanders his first season, to allow them to kind of get through some of this financial hell and build? How patient is the organization going to be in your estimation?
Yeah, I think they'll be very patient. If anything, the woman who owns the team, her late husband owned the New Orleans Saints and the Pelicans, and now she owns the Saints and the Pelicans. She is an extremely patient person, sometimes almost patient to a fault. And so Kellen Moore is going to get a lot of time to do this the right way. The one thing that you're talking about in here, this gentleman has become a lightning rod for fan frustration, and he's from the Pacific Northwest up your way, is Mickey Loomis. He's the longest tenured general manager in the league. He is Mrs. Benson's most trusted person. He's been the general manager of this organization for 20-plus years. And so people here, fans blame him. And look, he's the ultimate decision maker for football operations, for hiring Dennis Allen, for getting him in the cap situation they are. And there is no pressure for him losing his job. And that is an area of frustration where if the general manager doesn't fear anything, anyone, can he truly do his job at the highest level? And that is something that has been a topic of discussion locally and nationally. And that's what you see some of the national people reporting on about maybe is it time for Mickey to retire? Is it time for him to move on? But the thing is, he's not. He is her most trusted person. It's kind of like Brian Cashman with the Steinbrenners. People in New York have wanted him gone for years, yet the Steinbrenners love him, and he's the Yankees GM forever and ever. So that's the situation here. But I do think Kellen Moore is going to get a lot of time. They are aware enough to understand where they are, and they want him to have success. So this isn't going to be if next year they fall on their face and go 3-14, they're not showing him the door after 1 year.
Interesting. We're talking with Fletcher Mackel, one of our favorites from down in New Orleans, at Fletcher WDSU on Twitter. We'll give him a follow. Last one I got on the Saints for you mentioned the quarterback situation and Derek Carr coming back potentially for another year. We saw Rattler play a little bit as a rookie. Jake Haener was a guy that was kind of a out of nowhere guy out of college that I really enjoyed watching at Fresno State, but not much there in terms of a high ceiling in the NFL. They have the 9th overall pick, I believe, in the NFL draft. Likelihood they go quarterback there or maybe with one of their other picks and start looking to the future.
So the Saints have the longest streak in the NFL of not drafting a quarterback in the first round. The Saints have not drafted a quarterback in the first round since Archie Manning in 1971.
Wow.
Okay? So I would love to think that Jackson Dart out of Ole Miss, or maybe a real boomer bust guy like Jalen Milroe out of Alabama is going to be that guy. But history tells me under the gentleman I just mentioned, Mickey Loomis, in this leadership team, they are not going to go young quarterback because under their leadership for 20 years, they haven't done it. Going back even 20.
Oh, did we lose him?
They just straight dropped.
Dang it. Damn it. He's good. I like Fletcher Mackel.
No, yeah, he's not a homer.
Yeah.
He'll tell you what he thinks. Mickey Loomis, by the way, why are you blaming us for
why do we got to catch a stray out here in the Northwest? No,
he's not there at all?
That's all right. It's 44. Can you just call him and tell him thank you, Schulte? We really enjoyed it.
I really want to know when Zion's leaving because we got a cut that just doesn't. Yeah. If this was in Portland and he was saying this, sirens would be going off.
Yeah, we don't need to bring him back up.
Tell him thank you.
Call him and tell him thank you, though, and tell him sorry we lost him.
Happened.
We'll talk about that on the other side. The Saints are, and Kellen Moore, by the way, going to be the head coach. There you go.
I'd seen that there was some intel that maybe
a little bit of rumor behind the scenes, but that was like emphatic right out of the gate. You're an idiot. Kellen Moore's the next head coach of the Saints. All right.
Yeah, that's okay. I'd love to be an idiot. I am an idiot. I just feel like in the past we've seen coaches who are coaching the Super Bowl. Like they've made it abundantly clear that guy's going to be the head coach?
Yeah.
Once the Super Bowl's over?
I feel like that's been a known thing.
But maybe I'm misremembering certain situations.
That'll happen from time to time. I'm very forgetful as well. Sprague and Line, the Daily Ticker, brought to you by, we will get to Sprague and Line coming up at 8:30.
Yes, we will.
Daily Ticker brought to you by Pelican Brewing. 4 locations along the Oregon coast. Fly over to a Pelican location. Enjoy epic views, local brews all year long. Pelican Brewing looks forward to seeing you at the coast. Saints have found their head coach. Let's get to the other dilemma in New Orleans, and that being, what's going on with Zion? He had an answer yesterday at a media scrum. It wasn't encouraging for the organization. Will he get traded? Is there anything left there? Have we given up on the Zion hope? Is there still some hope left in your meter? We'll dive into that coming up next on The Fan.
Who's stinking it up?
Woo! Do not go in there.
It's time for Who's Stinking It Up, a sports lowlight that's ripped from the headlines.
We couldn't do diddly poo.
Brought to you by Three Mountains Home Services. Schedule your appointment online at threemountainshomservices.com.
James controlling the possession. Here he goes!
Listen to the crowd. Standing ovation.
How about that one, Bronny? He was 1 for 6 in the game, but in garbage time got a nice little and one. The L.A. crowd giving him a standing ovation as this game was played.
Really?
This game was actually played in D.C., but it was a Laker home game.
It was, yeah.
Nobody will outtake the Wizards. They have 6 wins.
I mean, Bronny's not very good. They won the game by 40 points, though.
That's why he played.
So,
And the Wizards can't.
The Wizards are
Bronny.
terrible.
The Wizards are tanking, or I didn't know if we were doing
that was
a Bronny.
A home Wizard
I was
game.
saying they can't defend Bronny, so they stink really bad.
I just know Schultz's takes on Bronny. I thought we were doing a Bronny stinging it up here, and I didn't know where we were going with that. I got a little confused.
We haven't gotten a corn pop take on the Schottenheimer Cowboy gig.
No.
Seems like a bigger job than
Why is
backup
that guy a
55th
coach?
pick in the draft.
Why is he a head coach?
Who's stinking it up? The Wizards, brought to you by Three Mountains Home Services. Make your home services delightful at the pros tackle the projects you need completed. Schedule appointment online. Three Mountains Home Services. That's threemountainhomeservices.com.
A long season gets longer.
Scoop, sets, fires. Yes, sir. That was pure.
With with memberships as low as $9.99 per month. Find your Crunch Time in Portland, Vancouver, and online at crunch.com.
Hey, Crunch Time, brought to you by our good friends at Crunch Fitness. Memberships as low as $9.99 a month. Find your Crunch Time in Portland, Vancouver, online at crunch.com. Dare I bring up my college basketball team at the top of the hour? Should we talk about them?
I don't know if there's much to talk about, man. They're not very good. Star point guard's not even shooting the basketball.
Shoot the ball! I was like one of those parents at the local Y yelling at my TV last night at Jackson Shellstad. Can you shoot it? Shoot it! Shoot it! Shoot it!
Getting PTSD right now as a coach
Shoot
of
it!
youth basketball.
You're open. In my defense of telling my niece to shoot, she has somebody on her team that just will not stop chucking.
Oh, she's got a chucker.
So there's a chucker on the team.
Does the coach do anything about it?
No, actually, the chucker kind of goes at it with the coach. It's a weird dynamic. It's like not good.
Is the chucker good?
She's the best player on the team, but also like half the shots go off the side of the backboard because, it's like 12-year-old girls basketball.
Yeah.
So they're good at, it's good. She's the best, but how high is the bar to be the best, if you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's why I told her, I was like, you don't even get the ball anyway. Like, that girl shoots every time she sees it. Don't pass it to her. Just chuck it. Start chucking. Well, there's a guy who might be available at the trade deadline who has had quite the career arc from blowing up his shoe in college to one of the most entertaining players we've ever seen at that level, to can't miss number 1 overall prospect, to porn stars and can't stop eating fat fried food. Zion Williamson might be available at the trade deadline.
Well, I mean, we haven't heard that officially.
I mean, he's available.
But nobody's going to trade for him.
Nobody's going to trade for him.
Not yet.
Not yet, at least. And he is in the process of returning to full-time action, and the Pelicans will not allow him to play in back-to-backs. Here is Zion Williamson yesterday asked about the question of playing in back-to-backs.
If I can play in the back-to-backs, I would. I physically, yes, I can. But I work for the Pelicans. They have decided that based off the numbers, it's not smart to do that right now.
The Pelicans are 12-36 this year. One of the worst teams in the league who might end up landing Cooper Flagg, so we'll see who's laughing in the end. Zion, despite, again, being probably out of shape and banged up, in his 13 games this year is averaging 24 points, 9 rebounds, and 5 assists a game.
Look, Zion's not been good. He was billed as the next Braun, the can't-miss number 1 prospect. He blew up the internet in high school with highlights, blew out his shoe on the internet, and has since blown out the backsides of many in New Orleans. But what I would say about New Orleans is, and this is not just to be a defense of Zion. Zion's had his ups and downs, certainly.
Yes.
That organization, by all who report about it, seems to be one of the more poor organizations in basketball. And I don't know what evidence we have to suggest that they're being led the right way. Now, I don't think he's going to get traded at the deadline. But, man, that kind of quote, I want to play.
I would love to play in back-to-backs.
There needs to be a fresh start here. And that could be good for both. Or maybe it's just good for one. He actually looks good in that. If you go listen and see that video, he looks pretty good.
He looks like he's lost a little bit of weight. Only played 13 games this year.
His name has been dragged through the mud for, 3 years now? 4 years, whatever it's been. And
for on-court and off-court activities.
And so I just kind of feel like it just feels like it's destined for that to be a breakup. And I don't know what you do here, because he wants to play. He's saying he wants to play, but they don't want him to play back-to-backs because they don't want him to get hurt. That's a pretty ugly quote.
Yeah, and it's funny because you have the current conversation around the league being about load managing and guys that don't want to play. And to your point that you bring up often, it's usually only 2 guys, but it gets projected on the rest of the league.
Yes, it does.
Nobody wants to play in the NBA, and guys are taking nights off all the time. And here's another guy who's saying, I'd like to play. I'd like to play back-to-backs.
I'm capable
of playing. I feel healthy. To your point in the video, I haven't seen a lot of New Orleans basketball this year because, God, why would anybody want to watch the Pelicans play basketball?
They're terrible.
He looks relatively healthy and slimmed down. Nice little goatee from Zion as well. He's growing that bad boy out.
Looks good in a goatee.
He does. Not many people can pull off a goatee.
No.
And I'll give him a thumbs up. Zion, not too shabby. I'll give him the thumbs up on that one. He's saying, I would like to play in back-to-backs, and the team is telling him, no, you cannot do that because of the larger issue, and that is they're worried he's going to get hurt, and I'm sure they're trying to hold on to any sort of trade value. Let's ask where the hope meter is on Zion. Have you given up all hope? Is there something
what's the give up? Like what is your?
I'm saying your team. Take yourself out of Portland because the Portland to Zion deal would not make sense right now. Just general fandom. You're a general fan of an NBA team, and your team goes out and gets Zion. Is that moving the needle? Has it reached Ben Simmons level where you're like, oh God, what are we doing? This guy's just stealing money. There's no hope here. Where is your hope meter out on something being recovered for Zion? Because the craziest part out of all of this, do you know how old Zion Williamson is?
Is he 23?
Yeah, 23,
He
24.
just turned 24 years old.
Yeah.
Still young.
Well, we did this with Ben
Still-
Simmons. Look,
yeah,
I'm not saying
baby.
he's Ben Simmons. We did do this with Ben Simmons.
Yes.
You know how old Ben Simmons
He's
is?
very young.
And you and I both have a lot of audio of like, I'd do it. I'd
Yeah.
trade for him.
I mean, it doesn't make sense in Portland right now. I would still have that stance. I still have hope in my meter for Zion.
Well,
Maybe I'm wrong on that.
I think
but-
any team trading for him absolutely has the hope. Why
Well,
would you not?
I think
Yeah.
just based off of the comments that we just heard, Ben Simmons was, claiming mental health, and I'm not trying to bag on mental health. I'm just saying it sounds the opposite of what we're hearing from Zion Williamson now, which is I actually do want to play, and if I'm a GM, yeah, I'd rather hear that if we're just baking it down to that level.
It's probably realistically somewhere in between of hope and Ben Simmons, though.
Yeah, I mean, you're going to come in it with that,
You want to fill the
Over your
basket
skis.
with those Zion eggs, but the reality is they're plastic and not real. You can't
Yes.
eat them. So
He's also got, after this year, by the way, 3 more years left on his deal.
Doesn't he-
You're signing up
Yeah.
for 3 more years of this.
Oh, absolutely. If you're trading for him, you're all in on it.
Yeah.
You know what it is. Doesn't he strike you as next place he goes, figures it out guy? There is a part of me that has that.
Yeah.
I don't know where that is. I don't know if it is. Maybe it's Charlotte. How about go from one bad team to another bad team?
Yeah.
But like LaMelo throwing him lobs, and they get somebody good in this year's draft, and it's like, oh my God, are the Hornets fun?
What's the city with the healthiest food and the least amount of porn stars?
I mean,
What
Salt Lake
NBA
City's
city?
probably up
Salt
there.
Lake City probably up at
No
the top of the
porn
list.
stars.
Salt Lake City's that's not happening.
There can't be a lot of porn stars in Salt Lake City, I would imagine, right?
Let's
Are you
see.
counting Instagram? Because I think we've stretched.
I mean, they're
what
in
the
every city.
definition
Like
is.
those,
They
yeah.
are.
The OnlyFans gals are everywhere, but I'm the one that he was connected to. I don't believe was an OnlyFans. I think she was like a prominent porn star.
Minnesota? To send him someplace cold. I don't know.
How's the
Minnesota
food in
is-
Minneapoutine? They got a lot of bad food for you
It's
there.
a lot of deep fried.
A lot of
food.
deep
Yeah,
fried,
it
so
is.
you got to get them out of there.
What is it? What do they serve in Canada? Poutine. You
Poutine?
You like poutine?
Send them to Toronto.
Don't send him to
I
Cleveland.
feel like Toronto's got a lot of porn stars, though.
Don't send him to Cleveland because
why are you guessing where porn stars live?
Well,
I don't know.
I'm trying to
I thought
rescue
they all
Zion
lived in
here.
L.A. I don't know.
I'm trying to rescue Zion. I'm trying to find a good landing spot for him.
Well, I
man.
don't know where it is, but I would say like there is a vibe with him because I've been very unimpressed. Everybody sold him as this LeBron, which again I don't need to tout it, but like doesn't it kind of give you a perspective of how rare and generational some of these players are in
You would
these
hope that it
sports?
would.
Of like
You would hope that it would.
there might only be one LeBron, and there's some great young players in this league, but I don't know where he ends up. There is a vibe for me having just a little bit of belief that he can figure this out. That the next place he goes to, we look back and there's the article, what really happened in New Orleans? And
How was
it's-
it so bad?
It's
there?
a 4,000 word dive of how the Pelicans screwed all of this up.
You know what's going to make me absolutely livid too is the fact that when they got Zion, I think had the 8th worst odds or best, however you wanted to find it. They had like the 7th or 8th. They weren't in
it
the
was
top
something
3
like that. We looked it up yesterday.
So they won. Like that was a lottery win for them. Like they weren't one of the 3 worst teams in the league when they got Zion, and that was such a big draft to get number 1 because everybody knew Zion was going number 1.
Yeah.
Was that the Stan Van Gundy year when they
Yeah.
hired him?
It
and
was
it
I
Stan
believe
Van
so.
off?
That's how it started.
See,
Now,
that's a big mistake right there.
Well, they gave Stan Van not only the coach, they gave him general manager, like
Yeah.
personnel power.
they gave him all the calls.
fired
yeah.
him 12 months later.
But Stan has talked about, he does regular Levitard appearances, and he's talked about his recollection of that. It didn't go well. He has no bad things to say, publicly at least, about Zion.
No. You know what's going to piss me off, though, is they're going to move off of Zion at some point, and they land the number 1 pick this year and get Cooper Flagg. And you just go from Duke Star, number 1 overall pick, usher him out, and then bring in the next Duke Star, number 1 overall pick. That's going to piss me off. Because that market, I remember saying this when Zion got drafted there, that market is irrelevant in the NBA.
Well, that's why it was
yes,
kind of
Anthony
exciting
Davis.
they got him.
Because you thought
was
it
like,
would be the
oh.
buzz there.
Well,
Yeah.
you remember the reaction in the city, the front office.
I'll
it
never forget
was-
watching his first NBA game. He missed the first half of the year.
Yeah.
Came out and played, I want to say it was San
Spurs.
Antonio,
Yep.
and he knocked down a bunch of threes.
Fours.
I watched,
Four
I was
threes.
glued to that because it was Zion making his NBA. He had that level of impact early in his NBA career, and now we'll see where it goes from here. We got a lot to get to in the final hour of the show.
Jeez, we're already in it.
God, shut up. You guys never stop talking.
Shut your mouth.
God.
Throw it, man.
Zion to OKC, that's getting texted in. Something
I mean,
there.
if anybody has assets to say, what do you want?
Here's 7 first-round picks, and we don't
true.
even feel it. You
gotta
want to try
trade-
this thing out?
But you got to trade the money. The money has
That
to
money's
matter,
got to match.
you
That's
know?
totally true. What the hell happened to my college basketball team last night? A couple of football notes for you. We'll Sprague the line coming up at 8:30, 503-864-6326. Loaded final hour. Don't go anywhere. Dirt and Sprague on 1080 The Fan.
The Winterhawks host their annual
No subscription required. Portland's sports leader is 1080 The Fan. This is a Football Friday edition of Dirt and Sprague.
There's glory in the legends of this hard muscle life, and there's poetry in each season made of sweat and strife.
Dirt and Sprague on Football Friday.
Brought to you by the Odyssey app. Download the Odyssey app, follow 1080 The Fan, and enable push notifications to get the latest on the Ducks, Beavers, Blazers, and more.
All I know is you mess with me, you got problems.
Dirt and Sprague on 1080 The Fan.
Hey, let's do this final hour. Dirt and Sprague here on Portland Sports Leader 1080 The Fan, 99.5 HD2, the Odyssey app, live on YouTube as we're every single day.
Duval.
Good morning, Duval. Hope your Fridays are off to a great start. It is the final Football Friday of the year. Well, I shouldn't say year, technically, of the season, because we will have a Football Friday.
Super Friday.
In August and September and October and November. So it's not technically the last one for the
season,
year.
yeah.
But for the season. It's the last one for a long time, is what we will say. Did Brandon Sprague get hot and bothered about all-star snubs in the NBA?
Not really.
Not really. Okay.
I mean, they don't care about the NBA All-Star games, so why should I care about snubs? I thought it was funny for a long time there. LaMelo had the most votes.
He did. He had the most votes for the All-Star
Now,
game?
I see where if he finished with it, but LaMelo for a long time, people were getting pissed. They're
So
like,
he's got to be starting then, right? If he got the most votes? Isn't that how do they vote in the starters or just the reserves?
It's the starters. I think
that's
the
what I thought.
reserves are the other ones.
Picked by everybody else.
The funny thing is, like, I don't know how many people our age or older know this. He is debatably the most popular amongst, like, the 20 and under crowd.
Now, is that because of his actual game or for other various reasons? Highlights, TikTok?
Highlights, very
is?
active on the TikToks
Okay.
and the Facegrams and the Insta Faces and
the Snapchats and the...
He's got a back tattoo with an alien head. you
Okay.
know,
He is averaging almost 29 points per game this year. He's having a very good year.
Yeah, he's also got a lot of, like, good stats, bad team guy vibes.
Okay, just kind of I'm putting up numbers and we're not going anywhere, but I'm going to put up my numbers every single night. I also didn't quite realize how long he's been in the NBA. That didn't really dawn on me until I just looked at his overall stat sheet. That this is year 5 for him in the league, I think.
Yeah.
But 29 is unquestionably the best year of his career. Is he? So I'm assuming he's starting, or did he not make the team?
I'm looking at right now. No.
Okay.
Not starting. In fact...
Seems like a bit of a miss for the league, I would imagine, right? If he's that popular amongst the youngs and you want to get the youngs to watch your All-Star game, shouldn't he be in the All-Star game?
You know, it gets to the debate. Do you let the crowd decide? I think you should. Yeah, here are the All-Stars. Giannis, Jalen, Donovan, Jason, Kat, Jalen, Cade, Darius, Hero.
Tyler Hero's an All-Star?
How about that?
Has Anthony Simons ever been an All-Star?
No.
Okay, I just was checking on that one. Because that was a debate that Anthony Simons...
Am I getting punked right now? I'm like on the NBA website. That's funny. I'm just telling you honestly, I didn't follow All-Stars. I just don't care about the All-Star game.
Yeah, I know that they were released yesterday. I didn't know. Tyler Hero's an All-Star.
Holy crap.
So he's an All-Star over LaMelo Ball? LaMelo Ball's not an All-Star? Is that what you're telling me?
Yeah, let me
he's
look
not
up
on the team.
LaMelo injured?
Oh, could be an injury thing.
I thought LaMelo got injured. That's why
he did roll his ankle.
I
the
haven't
other
watched
day.
the Hornets in God knows how.
I mean, why would you?
I know that
Eric
he
Collins
hasn't played. I know Brandon Williams hasn't played.
touche.
Their play-by-play guy is
good.
fantastic.
He's very good. That is pretty funny that Tyler Hero's an All-Star, though. Can we at least take a brief moment to chuckle about that?
There were a lot of tweets from people back and forth in Miami, Portland
There's
of like,
no chance.
better than him.
Yeah, well, you know, when's it on? Not that that's the end all be all. That's not the only thing that we use as a debating metric.
We had
here.
almost All-Star CJ
But
McCollum for
we
a
did.
very long time.
He was all-star caliber is the way we describe CJ McCollum for nearly a decade. He could be an all-star at any given moment. He's just not an all-star, but he's all-star caliber.
So, I'm trying to read here of what it might just be. Yeah, he was the leading vote guard getter among fans. He gets aced out of a spot as the league's fourth leading scorer at 28. You're not going to see that very often, according to this NBA CBS Sports article. Ball clearly seen as more of a carnival act than a winning player.
Carnival
act.
act.
So he didn't get the vote, or I don't think he's eligible because of the injury, and then he didn't get picked by coaches.
Well, that's lovely. That's good for the league. That's how you grow your brand. Last night, my basketball team played a game, although did they play a game? Because it didn't really feel like it. Started at 7:30. Got to love those late-night tips on the West Coast. And it was competitive for maybe the first 9 minutes of the game, and then after that, UCLA just absolutely ran Oregon out of the gym. They
just
were up by
steamrolled into the half.
15-16 at halftime. Oregon couldn't buy a bucket on the night. They were 4 of 23 from three. You heard that right. That is 17%. Oregon's one of the worst three-point shooting teams in the country. And they took 23 threes last night. That wasn't a great recipe. Shellstad only took 2 shots, both of them threes. He was 0 of 2. He did not score in the game. Be curious to go look. When was the last time he had a game from which he didn't score a single point?
0 for 2.
0 for 2, like not even trying. I'm scrolling through this year. He had 2 other games this year, or one other game, excuse me, that it was against Troy, and they won by 20. He only took 4 shots in the first month of the season back in November. Look, they lost to Minnesota over the weekend. That was not a great loss. The Purdue one is excusable. Purdue's a top 10 team in the country at this point. Illinois is ranked in the top 25, although that game was ugly for them. They fall to 0-2 against UCLA, and that was one of their worst losses. Sans maybe the Illinois game in which they got killed at home.
Yeah.
That's the second worst loss they've had this year. That was hard to watch, and it was bad basketball.
Well, and remember, the last loss they had to the Bruins was like a buzzer beater, basically.
73-71, yes.
Yeah, I don't know what the takeaway is right now because this team's doing the opposite of what it normally does under Dana Altman.
Very weird. They usually start slow and then get hot.
Yeah, and it's kind of becoming the reverse given how they started the season with all these tournament wins, these non-conference tournaments. What's your answer here? Is this just going to be Dana Altman gets this right for these guys and they're okay? They shouldn't be ranked anymore. They made that abundantly clear last night.
I mean, they're in the Big Ten. That's the weird thing about it now.
I know.
Isn't it strange how much that conference gets the benefit of the doubt?
Shellstad, I guess I'd have to go see if there was a quote from Altman. I know the media doesn't really travel anymore for college basketball, but like Shellstad shooting twice is crazy.
Yeah.
We know he's a good player. We know he's usually aggressive for what he is.
I mean, he's been their driving force, you would argue, offensively all year.
There was a weird vibe in that game because of the way it started slow, and then the Bruins just hit the pedal, and it Oregon never got close.
No.
Bad loss for them. I give them an Illinois pass. I know the score doesn't look good. What was it, like 100-77 or whatever it was? Illinois is good, and Illinois has some NBA talent. Like, I kind of understand that. The Purdue loss, you want to win it. It's an NBC game. A Saturday special.
Yeah, Saturday, 12:30.
Yeah, Purdue was going to win that game, I thought, at half because they didn't play well whatsoever. They were barely trailing.
That's a top 10 team, and that's one of the best programs in the country.
I think we know what Oregon is.
Yeah.
They're kind of a middle-of-the-road team, and their reputation in conference helped them, certainly. Dana Altman's resume speaks for it, but I don't know how this turns around for them. They're just not playing good basketball whatsoever.
No, I think it was a reminder, too, of, like, if you have a night in which Shellstad's not getting it going offensively, where else are you going to go? Like, that's
Bartholomew. I mean,
yeah, and good luck with that.
Can't carry you.
No, Mookie Cook came in as a highly touted kid as well, and in his sophomore season, I think they were hoping for more from him. I mean, he has been a complete non-factor for him all year.
For the most part, yeah.
For the most part, and he finally gets some minutes in the second half. Now the game at that point's out of hand, and I think his first possession in the game, he chucks up a wild contested three, and you're like, that's why you're not playing a lot of minutes right now, because the coaching staff can't really trust you. It just when they don't get it from one of their key guys offensively. Shellstad and Biddle have really carried them offensively this year.
Mm-hmm.
There's not a lot else out there, and they were taking so many threes. They had a stretch in the first half over like 5 minutes where they did nothing but attempt threes. Now, a lot of them were good looks, but Oregon's a terrible three-point shooting team. It almost felt like they played right into the hands of UCLA where they said, let's compact everything. Don't let them get buckets around the rim. Give them three-pointers because they can't make them consistently. If we lose that way, we lose that way. And Oregon said, all right, sure, we'll keep chucking up three-pointers. And they missed a ton of them, and it was just, to lose by 26 on the road. UCLA's playing much better basketball now than they were maybe earlier this year, earlier this month, when their coach said they're all soft and they, don't belong on the team or whatever his quote was.
Mm-hmm.
They're playing better ball right now, but that was a tough one for Oregon. And the other side note of this is, I can joke about the credit you get in the Big Ten and how they're probably still going to be ranked in the top 25 after this loss, although to your point, maybe they don't deserve to be. You got to go to Michigan next week. You got to go to Michigan State next week. You got a road trip to Iowa coming up. You got Wisconsin's ranked in the top 25. You got to play them.
18-2. They're having a great.
They're having a great year now. They're undefeated, I think, in Big Ten play. Somebody
are.
pointed out that they haven't really played any of the upper echelon teams yet in the Big Ten, but still,
18-2 is 18-2.
Absolutely right. UCLA's not one of those teams, and Oregon just lost by 26 to them. You got Indiana at the end of the year, so this schedule's not getting any easier going forward. Nebraska, speaking of which, just beat Illinois, I believe, last night. And Nebraska was a tournament team last year, so they're not great. You get them at home. but that still was a big win for them to knock off Illinois 80-74. And so it's going to be a gauntlet for the next couple of weeks for you.
I'm finding it a little more difficult. I'm keeping up with the draft guys for the Blazers' sake, though that ship may be sailing.
Start looking at prospects 10 through 15 in the rankings instead of the top 10.
Well, I don't know where you sit. The Ducks are ranked. My Beavs don't win road games.
No,
I'm finding it kind of. It's starting to. The following of the season is starting to drift a little. I want to be honest with you in this trust tree. I'm seeing the YouTube TV 4-screen thing.
Yeah.
I'm not always clicking it anymore. I mean, I also just, the conference allegiances don't matter.
It's very strange. You're not wrong.
All these bigger conferences, the Big Ten's going to get 5 teams, maybe 6 teams in. Like, whether they deserve it or not doesn't matter. Like, they're going to get in. Flag will catch my interest. Edgecom, like, I'm again, the top interest guys are still there. But your team looks like they're very, very middling, and my team doesn't win road games. It's like, what interest should I really have locally?
Yeah, you're not wrong. I mean, those are really the only 2 teams that I'm watching regularly at all. It's Oregon State and Oregon and what they're doing.
I'm not even, to be honest, I'm not really even watching road Oregon State games. Like, I think I saw just a little bit of that Beaver Gonzaga, and they were already down 20. So it's like,
just turning the game off. There was a stat floating around that since their Elite 8 run, I don't know why I could say that word, Elite 8 run, I believe Wayne Tinkle is now 3-35 on the road.
I mean, Dirt, I don't know what it is since I said the stat on the air. I think at one point he was 22-92 on the road in his career. So he's probably like 23-94.
How does a guy like that get a job? And I'm not trying to bag on Tinkle.
Well, they went to the Elite 8, and he's been to the tournament now three times?
When was the last time?
2 times. 3 times.
times.
The Elite 8.
No, what year was that?
I think it's only twice.
Was it twice?
I think it's twice because they went right out of the gate with
he
GP2.
went with GP2. And then no, he went with...
Did he have another one other than the Elite 8 run?
I thought Trace, his son, was part of another group, and they didn't go far, and then they had Elite 8. But maybe I'm misremembering that. So if it's 2, whatever it is, it's because of that. They had not gone to the tournament for 20 years.
It has been 2. Yeah, 2. He went twice with 3 times with Montana, and then they had the tournament appearance.
I care about Oregon State.
In 2015, 2016, lost in the first round.
GP2.
And then they did not make it again until the Elite 8 run, and they have not been since.
And that was, great. But, like, that's why. They also gave him they gave him a massive extension after the Elite 8.
Which you have to. When a coach goes to the Elite 8, Oregon State went to the Elite 8. Like...
I know.
You're getting an extension out of that. That's how that works, man. When you go on a run like that,
they were near the bottom that year in the conference, too. They just got on a hot streak.
They were 10-10 in Pac-12 play.
They beat Cade Cunningham.
They did. And then they went 3-28 the next year.
Maybe people should call Wayne Tinkle about how to stop Cade Cunningham.
That's what we need. We need his answer. Somebody in the NBA should hire him. So, bad night for the Ducks.
You think I think most people locally are kind of...
I don't think you're wrong there. I'm following my team. I'm keeping an eye on the Beavs in case it comes up on the show. Outside of that, I couldn't tell you anything else. That's all I got.
Yeah.
I'm not watching the conference. I'm not watching the rest of the Big Ten. I'm not engaged in what's, the day in and day out of Big Ten basketball. I would have if it was still the Pac-12. Not that I watched religiously, but you would keep an eye on it. I did see the Cougs lost to, who did they lose to? Pacific last night?
They got swept by Pacific this year. Pacific is Pilots bad.
Pacific is really bad.
I mean, they're worse than the Pilots.
The Pilots lost by 25 last night, in case anybody's wondering how Swag's vacation started down in the LA area.
Does anybody in America have a better gig than that guy? It's just nice little trip to LA.
Here's the situation. It's over.
By the way, we got somebody DMing us about the kid from Illinois. I don't want to try to say his name.
Yeah.
Kasparis is how you say his first.
Sure.
That kid is fun. 6'6", very interesting player.
There's a couple of guys like that around the league. To your point, like I watched Edgecombe the other night in Baylor that I was when they were playing BYU. Edgecombe was awesome. He was like 6 of 8 from 3, couldn't miss. Like there's certain players that will get me to keep. Cooper Flagg is this at Duke. Like if there's a Duke game on, I'll watch it.
I don't watch the whole, but I watch most of it.
It's on my TV. I'm not sitting down watching the whole thing, but it's on my TV as I'm walking around, keeping an eye on things. We'll Sprague the line coming up, bottom of the hour. Back after this on the Fam.
It's time for a sports injury report. The injuries and rehab that impact the success of sports teams. Brought to you by Rock Orthopedic.
If I can play in the back-to-backs, I would. I physically, yes, I can. But I work for the Pelicans. They have decided that based off the numbers, it's not smart to do that right now.
That is Zion Williamson talking about playing in back-to-backs. Said, you got to listen to what your employer says. Also, I feel like his voice has changed a little bit. Maybe I just haven't heard a Zion clip in a while, but that's not really what I pictured in my head.
Oh, he's growing. I mean, that's the other thing. Like, our voices from 10 years ago, what do they sound like? If I could talk more basketball and back-to-back shows, I would. But I work for 1080 The Fan. It's Football Friday.
Damn right it is.
It's just funny to hear him say that. Just throw the Pelicans right under the bus.
I want to play. They won't let me. Sports Injury Report presented by Rock Orthopedic, board-certified specialists who diagnose and treat the widest range of orthopedic cases with care and expertise. To schedule an appointment with Dr. David Huberty, visit rocpdx.com.
The definitive podcast for Oregon Ducks football.
To you by the Odyssey app.
On 1080 The Fan.
All right, we will Sprague the line coming up bottom of the hour. These picks don't count, but we're going to do it anyways because we got some good fake sponsors coming in.
OVA.
So we will read them and have some fun here in a matter of moments. 503-864-6326.
Yakachonis.
Yakachonis is how you say his name?
Kasparis Yakachonis.
It's a hell of a name.
Lithuanian.
Did you know?
Did you see Detlef on the broadcast last night?
Detlef Schrempf? I did.
Schrempf.
He said, I gotta support the only team left in the Pacific Northwest.
Loved me some Detlef.
What?
I said I loved me some Detlef back in the day.
Big Detlef guy back in the day?
Yeah.
Did you know right now, Brandon Sprague, It's time to enter into the slam dunk in Vegas contest.
Is it really? I was wondering what time it was.
Entering is very easy.
Oh, okay.
All you got to do is download the free Odyssey app. Log in and listen at 1080thefan.com or any participating station.
Well, I'm on the air, but I'll try.
You can listen while you're on the air. Listen each day for a minimum of 1 hour for your daily entry. The winner of this national contest will receive travel and accommodations for 4. That's a winner plus 3 guests to Las Vegas, plus $20,000 in spending money. $5,000 for each of you to fund the ultimate viewing experience for the first 2 rounds of the college basketball championships. Come back each day and listen for another hour to add another chance to win. Keep listening for more info, or you can go
where
to 1080thefan.com.
Bet all the unders for Terry Rozier and my $5,000.
That's what you're gonna do. You're gonna come back rich.
What a great national contest.
I'm gonna throw a couple of football notes at you real quickly. And then we'll get to Sprague in the line here. Do we have a takeaway on Cam Newton saying he would not trade his MVP for a Super Bowl?
No, I don't. I actually don't have a take. I saw this circulate.
Give me a take. I want a take on that. Damn it, give me a take.
It's the same take as every other human being has had. It's like there's no look. Oh, let me say the same thing as you, Stephen A. But I'll say it kind of different.
I don't know.
I at least appreciate the honesty.
Also, yeah, like at least he's just being upfront and he got to a Super Bowl. He had a great year. He was
should have dove on the football. Dive on the football. Cam.
I mean, you're not wrong. They should have won the game.
They should have won that game.
That was a great Denver defense. That Denver offense was dog crap.
That game sucked.
Who would you rather be, like Sun Yu, who basically or like Adam Morrison, who won NBA titles, won NBA rings at the end of a Lakers bench, or would you rather be Cam Newton winning MVP?
Oh, this is the Barkley-Ori conversation, right?
Yeah,
I don't know.
Would you rather have 7 or be Charles Barkley?
Yeah.
Like, well, 7's great. Look, winning is the ultimate in sports.
No, I asked Sun Yu, not Charles Barkley.
I know, but like, I don't know. This is what they want.
Talk about it.
It's just like anything that happens. Like, let's make it political so everybody can yell at each other instead of focusing on what happened and how do we not have that happen again. It's the same thing. They don't know what to talk about on that show. So let's get Cam Newton with his big top hat and ask him a question that we know the answer to.
He does wear a very big hat.
If I would have asked you to put your life on the line, what do you think Cam Newton's answer is here? Give back the MVP for a Super Bowl. You're taking your shirt off, you're flexing your little muscles after crunch time, and you're saying he's going to keep the MVP. You know what the answer was going to be. But you got the answer that was obvious, and hey, now let's spread it to everybody like wildfire. This is what First Take said today. Never mind the fact that Stephen A. tried to parent Bronny, not being a dad at all. I don't have it. There's my take.
There's your take. You had a take. You ended up having a take. You said you didn't have a take, but you had a take.
Dumb.
Look at you. I'm proud of you, Corn Pop.
How many other people, by the way, in this country would keep their MVP?
Oh, so many. Like an
Nameless,
individual award
guy.
over a team award.
Yeah.
That's I won that award. The team didn't win that award. Now, a little bit different when you do the championship stuff with guys who aren't like Adam Morrison. You can't use in this example because he didn't do anything to help the team win. Robert Horry is the more correct example here because he hit big shots and he had moments that helped them win championships. Like, would you rather be that guy or the star? That's the debate.
Is Rob Horry currently making like $30 million a year on TNT?
No, but Chuck's like one of the only ones doing that. If you're talking like former...
The question is Charles Barkley or Robert Horry, 7-time big shot Bob or league MVP, clearly dominant great player all time.
One of the 50-ish, 30-ish best players in the history of the league.
Who will then parlay it into one of the greatest broadcasting careers of all time.
Well,
every American's choosing Charles Barkley.
I would take Charles Barkley.
I agree. Yeah, look at that paycheck.
Anybody saying Rob Horry is a liar?
Yes. Have you seen that we have already begun? The media hype train has already left the station. I love the Dr. Pepper college football commercials. They do that hype train, and then they pull the break like 2 minutes into the ride.
It's one of the best campaigns that exists.
One of the best campaigns that exists. It has left the station. Have you seen who's starting to do interviews around the world of college football ahead of his leading odds for winning the Heisman Trophy in 2025? We are getting our first taste, ladies and gentlemen.
Dante Moore?
Of Arch Manning. Arch Manning's doing sit-down interviews with ESPN. He's now hawking Red Bull. He got an endorsement deal with Red Bull, so he's selling you some Red Bull.
Well, hopefully he doesn't do a 2 on that hawk and then make an Arch coin.
Let's no Arch coins and then disappear for 2 months.
Yeah.
And he is
Where
opening.
is she, by the way?
I don't know. She has not appeared in anything in
8 weeks.
Probably a good thing.
Breaking news.
Is she still alive? I don't know. Is she in jail? I don't know.
She should be.
A lot of follow-up questions there. And Arch Manning is the current odds-on favorite to win the 2025 Heisman Trophy.
Yeah, I get it.
Yeah, okay.
Isn't Dante Moore third?
I don't think he's third.
I think he's in the top 5. Last time I saw him, he threw a pick 6 at Reeser. So, like, you got takes flying all over these guys.
Wow. Got to go there today, did you? Got to go
Get
there
your
today?
Malik Murphy, you know what I mean?
I mean, I'll pass on that.
Yeah, because you couldn't afford him.
I thought you guys were built, not bought.
Well, we're buying to build.
You're okay. Yeah.
I mean, come
you
on.
got your lunch pail over there?
You damn right we do. We have a nice meal in there.
Your
Yeah,
top
it's takeout.
Heisman odds, this is according to FanDuel, Arch Manning, Garrett Nussmeier.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Cade Klubnik, Jeremiah Smith.
Wait, Klubnik
had a really good year this year,
No,
actually. When you look at the
I'm
numbers.
not doubting that. He still has eligibility?
I think he was definitely only a junior this year because he started right away as a true freshman.
Doesn't it feel like he's been there 10 years?
It does. Jeremiah Smith, Drew Aller, Nico Alamiava.
Are you saying Iama?
Lenora Sellers, Julian Sand, and then Dante Moore. Those are your Heisman.
Okay, to be honest, that sounded all fair.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'd have Dante that high.
Of course you wouldn't. I'm shocked by that.
Definitely wouldn't. Put Dan Lanning on that list.
If he got to play Oregon State 3 times, he'd win the Heisman for sure because he'd throw 27 touchdown passes. Let's Sprague in the line. Get your fake sponsors in. That's next. First, your Schulte with SportsCenter.
This is a Football Friday edition of Dirt and Sprague.
Brought to you by the Odyssey app.
Now, from the Fan Sports Desk, a SportsCenter update on 1080 The Fan.
First on The Fan, the Portland Trail Blazers getting a big win over the Orlando Magic. It was 119-90 when it was all said and done at Moda last night. Scoot Henderson and Shaden Sharp leading the way with 23 each. DeAndre Ayton adding 22. They'll have the day off before hosting Phoenix on Saturday. Portland now winning 6 of its last 7 games. On the college hardwood, the 16th ranked Ducks getting beat up by UCLA down in SoCal 78-52 the final. Eric Daly Jr. leading all scorers with 21. Oregon now 16-5 on the year. Loyola Marymount spanking the Portland Pilots as well, 86-63. And also Montana toppling Portland State, 92-78 the final there. In baseball, after initially letting him become a free agent, the Seattle Mariners bringing back infielder Jorge Polanco on a 1-year deal worth almost $8 million guaranteed, could be brought to $11 million with incentives. He's expected to play third base after hitting .213 with 16 home runs last season. More sports scores and stories in 30 minutes. I'm Schulte at the 1080 The Fan Sports Desk. Listen live or on demand on the Odyssey app, the Fan's desktop player, or tell your smart speaker to play 1080 The Fan.
The Fan is live on YouTube and Twitch. And now, Window Nation brings you on-demand videos. Watch Window Nation's window into 1080 The Fan.
Robinhood Gold members can now enjoy the VIP treatment, receiving a 3% IRA match on annual retirement contributions. With Robinhood Gold, the perks of the high net worth are now available for any net worth. The new gold standard is here with Robinhood Gold. To receive a 3% boost on annual IRA contributions,
This is a Football Friday edition of Dirt and Sprague
Brought to you by the Odyssey app.
on 1080 The Fan.
Sprague in the line. Sprague in the line. Sprague in the line. See what we got here today. Sprague in the line brought to you by Milk, a favorite of radio producers with wide upper lips and the women who love them.
That is true.
Sprague in the line brought to you by Swag, remembering to submit his pick. Still a better bet than a dirt pick. Hey.
He did ask. He
I might
texted
take
us
a
20
chance
minutes ago. Did these count? We haven't responded.
No, it's not going to count.
I didn't count them last year. I know you were out, but I told Swag, I'm like, this is stupid.
Yeah, we're going to build up. Last week of the season will be the Super Bowl. I don't want to have the deciding tally of Sprague in the line. You've already won. It's between Swigard and I of who's going to finish in last place. I have a half-game lead on him. We're not going to decide it on a Clippers-Hornets game tonight. That's not going to happen.
It's going to be interesting, like first half line plus game
I could just take all of his
over-under.
picks and then box him out, too.
I did that one year.
I have the ability to do that.
A win is a win.
A win is a win, and I will win no matter how I need to win. Sprague in the line brought to you by Glory Holes.
That would be so mean.
Wait to make him pick first. I'm on Chiefs -2.5. I also like Chiefs -2.5. I like the over of 57. I also like the over of 57.
You got a Kelsey anytime touchdown. I also have a Kelsey anytime
What are the odds on that?
I would also just add to that, though, in reference to some listeners, I still have not, as the loser last year. You will not.
Well, you're a bet welcher. If you stop welching on your bets, maybe you'd pay it off. I don't know what the hell you're waiting for.
I've only asked 9 different times about doing that golf thing, and if it's not going to happen, we need to flex out of that and do something.
No, we're going to do the golf thing. You got to stop welching. Sprague in the line brought to you by Glory Holes. They'll leave you with a smile and like a Sprague pick.
I'm in first place.
Sprague in the line brought to you by me being 506.5 months old and never taking a Sprague pick.
I love, from the whole week's worth.
When you get the random ones come in. Sprague in the line brought to you by the Pro Bowl flag football. Great football without tackling weight. We already have that when any team plays the Chiefs when they can't touch Mahomes.
Yeah.
The NFL, we'll talk about this next week. The NFL has had to have internal meetings. You know what? We can't throw the flag at the end of the game. It's got to be the NBA. You just got to hold the whistle.
You got to hold on to that flag.
Hold the whistle.
Sprague in the line brought to you by Kevin Pitsnoggle because the patron saint of March is coming.
Oh, I love me some Pitsnoggle. What was the other white guy on that team?
Oh, God.
The guy that shot.
Yeah, they had a guy that just they had a chucker on that team.
I'm going to look that up.
Sprague in the line brought to you by expired milk that's been recently defrosted. A glass with an Oreo is always better than a pick by Sprague. And let's see, there's one more in
My
here.
stomach would argue that, but sure.
And Sprague in the line brought to you by the rigged NFL. Everyone knows the NFL is rigged, yet this show can't get a winning week of gambling to save our lives.
Whoa.
The NFL is rigged, and we know it.
Yo.
I mean, the NFL is rigged. The Chiefs are cheaters, and the NFL is
2-1 last week.
Bent over to their will, and they give them all the calls.
Gonna finish over 500, so that means I won money.
You can't tell that one came from our Chiefs P1.
Why don't you hold
for his cheating organization.
Hold the Sprague in the line takes.
I love
them up, hold them for next year, folks, because I was winning this year.
My favorite trend that we've seen now from national media is I'm starting to see a lot of these people that are picking not only Philadelphia to win the Super Bowl, but Philadelphia to win the Super Bowl in a landslide. And that is the
Philadelphia in a landslide.
I mean, it's the Cam Newton thing, right? It's the television producer saying we need to take so outlandish that this will generate shock. Like, this is a down week.
Yeah.
It's a down Super Bowl. I know you disagree with that, but I think I'm right on this one. There's just not a lot of built-up excitement for it. It's more of it's a Super Bowl we'll watch. So how do you get people to react and engage with your show?
Clicks on X.
It's Craig Carton saying, hey, you know what? This is not even close in my mind. Philadelphia's going to win this game maybe by 21. They're better across the board. A take like that goes viral. Everybody responds to it, clicks on it, reacts to it, listens to it, and there you go.
Cam Newton says he wouldn't give us MVP back.
Exactly right.
Really, the most narcissistic and egotistical people in the world aren't going to give individual awards back. Please, let's break this down for another 3 hours, guys.
I mean, a guy wearing that hat's not giving any awards back. Guys wearing hats like that ain't happening.
I'm a very big, comfort guy. Like, if a t-shirt fits well, I don't like layers. I watch him, and it's not the hat. The hat is whatever. He can pull it off. I can't. It's the layers. He's wearing a jacket over a sweater, over a long sleeve button-up with a tie, and I just look at that, and I go, I'm itching my skin. I just can't do layers like that. How are you doing that?
You look hot and uncomfortable is what you look.
Didn't he just say that he's like struggling not being like the superhero or Superman for his kids anymore, which I believe he's got a lot. And
He's got 8.
Yeah, because he doesn't have that NFL salary coming in.
It's a lot of.
He made a lot of money, though.
A lot of child support
he's not
payments
from
going on.
Buddy, I don't hear him bitching about the layers that he's wearing or the hats that he's buying. No,
Yeah, what's
it's
that outfit cost?
I got to make sure that my kids get all this extra stuff. I don't have NFL money anymore. Like, okay.
Should have held on to that $250,000 he got paid to go to college and cheat my team out of a national championship. Sprague and Line, I got 2 NBA picks for you tonight. Yes, 2 NBA picks for you tonight.
How about that?
Are you ready for this?
I
You ready
can't
for
wait
this?
to fade you.
Go ahead, fade me away because I don't know what the hell I'm talking about. Okay. I like the Warriors at home tonight against the Suns. Slight favorite.
+1.5.
Yeah, +1.5. Or slight underdog. My apologies. I like them at home tonight. The Suns are directionless and going nowhere.
Yeah.
Golden State at home. I will take them in that Kevin Durant return game. And then I'm going to bet on Cade Cunningham tonight at home against Dallas.
How about that?
I like Detroit -1.5. Those are your 2 NBA Sprague and Line picks for me today.
I am actually going to take a couple of them. I'm going to go Bucks -2.5 against Wemby. I'm going to take the Sixers, who are riding a hot streak, +10 at home against the Nugs. And how do you not fade the Hornets? They're not trying.
Hornets are very bad.
Clippers are 12 to 13 point underdogs, depending on the book you're looking at. I would take the Clippers all day on that.
Okay. Schultze, you got any picks tonight?
Yeah, I put a nice parlay down for tonight. You know how those betting bonuses sometimes expire? Like, and you got to use something before you lose it. Expired.
Aunt
Joni's here. No thanks.
That was a
Aunt
great
Joni.
commercial, and then they just kind of wore it out.
My dog barks every time that commercial's on TV. So while funny, it drives me absolutely insane.
Yeah.
Anyways, but I put down a pretty big parlay tonight, including a couple of these. So Golden State +1 over Phoenix. They had a nice comeback win the other night. I think that's going to go their way at home tonight. Phoenix kind of right now. So Golden State +1. I got -110 odds on that. And then Dallas +1.5 on the road against Detroit. I know they got some injury issues, but you're telling me that the Pistons are going to win? Really?
Gansey, by the way. Mike Gansey, number 20.
Was the name of the guy or the
shooter, man, from West Virginia, the 04-05 West Virginia Mountaineers, one of my favorite random teams of all time. I think they beat Jameer Nelson in the St. Joe's. That was Delonte West and Jameer Nelson 1 seed.
They were the 1 seed in the tournament
and
that year.
West Virginia just pit-snoggled and Ganseyed all day.
Isn't it funny, the random names that you remember from March Madness? The random schools, the random guys, the
It's probably
random
why
teams.
we like it so much.
That's
It's
what we
not
love.
just the upsets. It's like Kevin Pitsnoggle.
That guy became an insurance salesman, but he was an all-time legend, man. He had a run.
He
One
got
March.
super tatted, by the way.
Yeah, he did.
Did you see what was the cat from Gonzaga that we had a bet on?
Drew Timmy?
Did you see Drew Timmy the
What's
other
Drew
day?
Timmy up to? Not playing in the NBA still?
Well, he's in the G League.
Okay, he's torching the G League probably.
He is. He plays for the Long Island Nets.
He is the.
He had 25, 13, and 7 the
Look
other
at
day.
him.
Killian Hayes, who, by the way, was like the 7th pick 2 years ago in Detroit.
Yes, he also is in the G League.
They play together. He had 26. So Timmy and Hayes just torching the NBA G League 905 Montreal.
Drew Timmy is the Portland Trailblazers of NBA not NBA players. He's not good enough for the league, but then you send him down to the G League and he just dominates. Like we can't hang with the worst teams in the NBA in tanking because we're not competent enough, but we're also not good enough to make the playoffs.
We have a
We're in no
listener
man's land.
that kind of hates the Blazers and lets me know about it. And I said yesterday, we're the worst at being the best and we're the worst at being the worst.
Yes, we are.
We have found a lane that is just special.
That's exactly where you want to be, baby. Right in the middle of no man's land.
Can't wait for you to admit I was right on Drew Timmy in 2
Not
years.
good enough, not bad enough. Drew Timmy will never play in the NBA again. There you go. Sprague the Line. Every Friday at 8:30. Next Friday will be the final Friday of Sprague the Line. If you're wondering how we did last week, I forgot to mention that at the start.
Oh, yeah.
It wasn't good. Well, Sprague went 2-1. You hit on the Chiefs and you hit on the over of Commies and Eagles. The Eagles hit the over by themselves.
They did.
Swigart and I went 0-3.
Again.
Well, hey, we were 2-1 the week before, bitch.
Were you?
Get your records right.
Were you?
And we remain locked in a vicious battle for last place. I have a
it's a
half-game
bad
lead.
last,
Half-game lead on him right now.
Are
because
you
of a
guys
tie.
10 games below 500?
28, 37, and 1. He is 28 and 38. Yeah, we are. Yeah, we are. It's a bad year. How'd last place taste last year, bitch?
We're just talking about last year.
Why don't you pay off your bets, huh? You bet Welcher.
Oh, really?
Wrap it up on a Friday next on The Fan.
It's time for Protect This House, the impact of the home advantage in sports. Brought to you by Smartline Home Design. Online at smartlinehomedesign.com.
8 to shoot. Scoot takes it off the screen immediately into a triple. Bam! Down it goes. Scoot Henderson off that screen with a lot of bounce.
That is the voice of Kevin Calabro, who I can't watch on YouTube TV, but the Blazers got a win by 30 last night, led by Scoot Henderson, who all of a sudden was back in the starting lineup at a plus 27 in 32 minutes. Can't wait for him to get benched when Jeremy Grant returns.
Second best plus-minus, I think, of the team last night. He was great. He led the charge. He picked his right spots. I thought he played good defense, and he's an underrated, great teammate. Always encouraging everybody, being happy for everybody else's success.
I think you take that and put it back on the bench immediately. Sprague and Line, Protect This House, brought to you by Smartline Home Design, a trusted local architectural design studio ready to bring your dream home to life. Visit smartlinehomedesign.com.
Ready to bring your dream home to life? At Smartline Home.
Ball Friday edition of Dirt and Sprague.
Brought to you by the Odyssey app.
On 1080 The Fan.
There you go, fist pumping your way into the weekend every single Friday. Here's what you got on the docket this weekend. Your basketball team does not play again until, what day is the 6th? Next Thursday?
Next Thursday, yeah.
You guys don't play till next Thursday? What's going on with that schedule? Over a week off, but it is at home. You get the Cougs at home, so that's not going on this weekend.
Riley coming back home.
Yeah, you got Washington State and St. Mary's in your next two games. So you got a Thursday, Saturday game, home game split. Home game, so you got a chance to win them both.
Yeah. We'll see what they do against St. Mary's. They're interesting.
St. Mary's is, that's a big
Number
one.
one team.
Number one team. They have not lost, I believe, a conference game this year. Yeah. They're 9-0 in conference play, so that's another chance for a big-time upset for the Beavs. Oregon back at home on Sunday against Nebraska, if you're into that kind of thing. I believe it's a 4:30 tip on the Big Ten Network. It would be nice to get a bounce-back win because they have not been playing great ball as of late. Tomorrow night for your Portland Trailblazers, The Phoenix Suns are in town.
Yeah, we have a back-to-back.
Is it a back-to-back with Phoenix? Home and away or home and home?
Home.
We get them both.
Home.
Look at that. 2 home games over the weekend.
Yeah, they're in the middle of a 7-game stretch right now, I believe.
Yeah, and then they get Indiana and Sacramento at home before the next road trip kicks in, and then it's All-Star break time. What are we talking about on Monday? By the way, it's Saturday, Monday, so not Saturday, Sunday. Saturday, Monday, the Phoenix back-to-back. Or not back-to-back, but you get what I'm saying. Back-to-back games. Do we get 2 more wins? Do we hit the over? Are we encroaching on the over going into the All-Star break out of the weekend with Phoenix?
I think by definition it is a back-to-back. It's not
just not back-to-back days. You're playing the same team back-to-back, but you're not playing back-to-back days.
If I told you that's a back-to-back, would you argue it?
I would argue that, yeah.
Really? Same team twice?
I would.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
What is it, Monday? I think they're going to win one of those games.
Well, Monday, they only got 1 game because the next one's not till Monday night.
I think we're talking
so
about
you think they win tomorrow
twice?
night?
Yes.
Wow.
Dude,
7 out of 8?
The Phoenix Suns are in weird bad vibes. Tamani's got a payback day.
Well, and Phoenix is in Golden State tonight, so tomorrow is a back-to-back for them because they play tomorrow, they play tonight, and then tomorrow night.
Much like Milwaukee, who had to play in Salt Lake City the day before we played them on TNT.
Scheduling advantage.
Scheduling advantage for them. Look, they're playing good. They've got confidence. I don't know when Jeremy returns. It's an ankle injury that he just re-aggravated. I really do hope, and I know your point. I get it. But I really hope even if he is able to return that we don't take Scoot out. That's been one of my, like, I disagree with you guys and what you're doing there. Vibes are great. Let him keep playing. Let him keep rolling. Hung a little bit with that OKC team on Sunday. Winning 6 of 7, that feels good for a locker room that hasn't experienced a whole lot of winning. I think they win Saturday. I don't know if they win Monday. Those sweeps are hard. These are usually splits. But then you get a Pacer team that's meh, and you get a Sacramento team that was hot, and now suddenly they got a Fox problem. There's a fox in the hen house. And so I think they got a chance here to win 3 of their next 4, and I wouldn't put it past them to win all 4 if they're going to play like this.
Yeah, they're red hot and rolling right
now.
They're
home games,
We're
man.
pushing towards the playoffs is what we're going to do. Let's make that 10 seed, baby.
I do think we're going to get, like, we may already be there of kiss it goodbye. They may be in the 26-30 win range. I really do believe that. Go look at their schedule.
They absolutely could be.
Denver isn't perfect this year. The Lakers is a question mark. Charlotte sucks. You're not beating them. Utah sucks. You're not. Washington, Brooklyn.
What's the care level for random NBA teams on any given night in Portland?
Golden State.
Not very high.
Like, yeah.
If you bring energy and intensity, you got a chance to win all of those games.
And what did they bring last night with their young players?
Energy and intensity.
Yeah, exactly.
Do you still hold out hope for Zion that he can turn his career around and be a franchise guy? Right now, 77% of you say no, you do not. So people are out on Zion currently. And do you leave bad reviews of businesses online? 78% of you say no.
Yeah, I'm one of the 78.
That stemmed from a conversation this morning.
Corn Pop's all about it.
Corn Pop's leaving bad reviews. Although, what was your overall review total?
So 8 in the last 15 years, and I've actually left 3 positive reviews in that.
So
only
5 negative, 3
negative,
positive.
3 positive.
You've been online for reviews since 2005?
I mean, it's just, I go and find my Yelp, and yeah, it's just Yelp. I love using Yelp and TripAdvisor
I guess 2010
to look up a business and see what's there.
See what people are saying out there, man.
Yes, you gotta.
What year did I
figure that
learn
out.
about Yelp? I don't even think it was 2010.
No, probably not.
I've been bad with
I probably didn't know what Yelp was until like 3 years ago, but, better late than never to the party. That will do it for us, folks. If you missed any of the show, go check the podcast, 1080thefan.com, at Turton Sprague and at 1080thefan. Thanks, everybody, for watching on YouTube. Like the video. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so yet. Have a great weekend, everybody. We will talk to you Monday at 6 a.m. Colin is next. You're listening to 1080 The Fan.
The total is climbing, but is there value on the under? I'm standing.